Vivo.
Zombie, Darkest Night, the newest mode in the zombie universe is here. This time, the rules are different. No more parachuting, as players will be placed at random locations on the map when the match begins, and there is no single winner. Players must work with their teammates to spend one long night in the match and stay alive until the sun comes up. Waves and waves of zombies will spawn during each of the 3 foggy periods at night, and supplies should only be scavenged when the fog fades. The main objective is not to defeat other players, though this doesn't mean they are harmless. Players may need to work with other teams when necessary, but should also watch their backs in case the Fragile Alliance goes south. This will be a unique experience for every player involved. This new mode also comes with a passive skill for every player. Understanding these skills will be the key to staying alive in this long night. Can you ride out the night?
Do you play PUBG Mobile? Maybe you never run out of stamina. Maybe you're always aware of your surroundings. Maybe you're an amazing cook with the pan. Maybe you're a great driver. But as soon as you hear the sound of an airplane, you get into the zone. In PUBG Mobile, you all come from different walks in life. But you face the same dangers on the battleground. And you become friends. You work together to overcome the obstacles. This is PUBG Mobile. There's a #1 in all of us. Welcome to the PUBG Mobile first anniversary party. PUBG Mobile, be the one.
They've already taken one down. They're spraying it on. They're going to give the knockback as well. But Carry pushes on, looking for the confirm, but goes down himself.
Feel someone's here. Yeah, they do push on in. That's going to be the knocks coming through. PixL squad trying to rotate over, but rip, there it goes.
Looking for it. There's a smoke being laid out. Oh, lovely shot. Seconds. All that's going to remain as the circle does come in for the next shift. The more pushing coming through. And
SWAT still struggling here as push comes through from Retribution, but Rain will be secure here, just leaving the last member of SWAT to clean things up, but I don't think he can hold it. Need to get wiped out by Team India here. Scout looking for the firm, and he's going to find it. Trying to get on in, but he's going to get sprayed down as well. Only one man standing for Maximus. It's going to hurt here. He's behind the tree, but it's not going to work. MegaStars coming in. Oh, the shotgun struggling. Two knocks though for SWAT. That's going to be Prince and Marvy wiped.
Rain up the building, trying to go for the flinging out the bullets, making it the last one as well. All three go over, to say the least. He doesn't have too many meds to be playing with, but 8-bit make the push and they make it work. PixL Spades. Oh, they're able to hold. Making a good push for Sky. Looks for the turn.
Rain.
There he goes.
Here comes God.
With the Groza, the Brawlers looking for it.
Can he do it? Iconic, look for the spray down. Massive jump from Manu, and it gets the kill.
This is exactly what you were saying. It's what we saw before.
Oasis not able to get into the circle. You can see DAKU are pretty much eliminated here. Dark finally spots final boss, and we'll get the spray down on him.
That's a pretty simple one for Brawlers. Seems at his back, they have control of so much of the ground. You can see he's got the suppressed M16.
Try and throw it over.
Oh dear. Just gets spotted out. He was protected from SWAT's position and PixL. Oh, he sees it though.
There it is. Wow, Harvey actually just goes for the wild push.
Sidhu's there. That's what they were looking for. You can see Sidhu the whole time with rolls on out. Sees what he can get. Oh, in the meantime as well, PixL Spades got eliminated. This always happens. These two teams
building as the fight breaks out. More to another kill for him.
Tempest, he needs to make the spray. Goes to the peak, goes out wide, but he's not going to be able to land the shots. Might just be affected by it, but the spray's there. Gets taken down instantly. Oh, another player from India goes.
And he's going to go down.
They're going back and forth. You can see everybody just laid bare, and that's going to be it.
Hits the deck. Goes down. They have to come off the hill. Good headshot coming through from Viper. Wants to try and make the hero play onto all of his sprays. One more to go. He doesn't quite get it. Oasis holds some through. But here comes Fire from Pass, pushing on in. One knock for Oasis. Needs to get three more. Looking for it all, but he can't do it.
Hello and welcome back to the PUBG Mobile Club Open. This is the India region for 2019. My name is John Allen. With me is Dowsey. We've had some great games coming through. We've got a couple of teams chopping and changing in terms of their strength, and we're going to see how they're going to perform today.
Absolutely. Group B and Group C coming up today, John. We've had a bit of Group A action over the last 2 days, and after today, I'm really excited because all the teams will have played 8 matches each, meaning that we will have a really good understanding of where the semifinals sit and who's the top performers.
Yeah, because of course, there's some of these teams that we've been seeing. Obviously, on the first day, we had great performances, especially from teams like TeamINSIDIOUS coming in, doing really, really well. But yesterday, incredibly lackluster. There's a couple of teams that really haven't been able to put the performances in and get some of those points on the board. As you can see, this is how it's going to be laid out. 30 points for that chicken dinner with 1 kill, getting 1 point as we move through the rest of the game. Obviously, staying in till the late stages, to the late placements, is the name of the game here in the PUBG Mobile Club Open.
It's something that the Indian region have prioritized over anything, John, is trying their best to get into the late circles, not actually taking fights early if they can help it, which, I mean, could be a criticism in its own right. Yesterday we saw Team Seoul, who wanted to clear out teams early, and it was very successful for them, so maybe there's some scope for improvement there.
These are the groups from the group stages previously. Of course, we are now into the semi-finals, so the groups have changed since then to be 3 groups. Of course, the 4 groups on your screen hold a couple of teams that have been eliminated previously and a couple of teams that have changed their name, most notably the Ninjas in Pyjamas, no longer called that. They are now known as the Indian Tigers. We also have Floor Official, you can see on the bottom right, on Group D, now known as MegaStars, and they have changed their name there. looking elsewhere, of course, I think you've got Team Apex just below them, and they are now Indian Tigers, I believe.
Yep,
Oh,
so
no, 8-bit, sorry.
8-bit.
They are 8-bit.
They are 8-bit. This is the group stages, like you mentioned, John. We're into the semifinals now. We're into 3 groups: Group A, Group B, Group C.
Sorry, Ninjas in Pajamas are now Indian Tigers.
You've said
Did I
that.
say
You're
that?
fine. You're fine.
Okay.
Moving on,
Housekeeping
John.
done.
Yep,
Under the
housekeeping
rug.
done. This is the schedule. You can see that we're on day 3 of week 1 of the semifinals, and we're having a couple good matches coming up in the future. There it is, the massive performance, back-to-back chicken dinners from Team Insidious in day 1 from Group A, but they were not on the leaderboard whatsoever when it came to day 2. Only a top 4 performance, I think it was, maybe top 5 on Miramar to kind of ride home upon. Lots of new teams coming into the spotlight here. MegaStars, GodsReign, ISO, and Learn From Past. And a couple of those are teams that didn't perform very heavily in the group stages, but are now starting to pull punches in the semifinals.
Well, we talked about it in week 2 of the group stages, how ISO on their final performance did really, really well. They came through and had a great performance moving on in. And we saw that again from them yesterday. From the 4 games they've played, they are the highest performing per map team in the tournament at the moment. The question is, can they have that record stay on, or are they going to go the way of Team Insidious and drop off just a little bit? I, for one, am hoping to see some great PUBG coming out.
Oh, everyone here is hoping to have some good PUBG, but for ISO, like you mentioned, it's been a very consistent run over the last 2 weeks, from a very middling team to someone who's actually looking to try and compete. Of course, we're in the semifinals right now, John. The top 16 teams from the semifinals will go forward to the regional finals, where the top 2 teams then qualify to the global finals. And so whilst it's all very good being in the top 16 right now, the ultimate aim for all these teams is to make it up into the top 2. And so this is where they're really starting to showcase their ability to adapt week by week, game by game, and showcase their ability. And for ISO, that's been a very consistent performance for them, a very consistent upward arc. There's some other teams that are maybe performed very poorly in the group stages. When I look at those teams, it's stuff like teams like Maximus Alpha, who actually finished 25th overall, but then got gifted a position into the semifinals due to a competitive ruling. And then yesterday, we saw them putting up some performances as well. So it's good to see that when they've been given an attempt, I guess, at redemption, they're taking that with full gratitude and showcasing that they're here to fight.
Exactly. They are doing pretty decently. But speaking on the opposite side of that coin, you've got teams that in the group stages did very well, now are underperforming severely. I'm talking about coming soon. These guys, they came out 5th of the group stages, and now they're dropping down to be one of the worst performing teams, only beaten out on that title by GODL, who are also playing today, funnily enough. But coming soon, they've just dropped completely off. So we're really looking for them to put their best foot forward, make sure that they got on board the information they gained from yesterday, try and apply it today. It's going to be interesting how they're going to stack up, because you've got teams like Team India who are also going to be looking to do a similar sort of turnaround on their performance from yesterday and come in swinging. So coming soon, really have their work cut out for them, and we're going to be paying attention to them pretty closely.
Yeah, coming soon, like you mentioned, top performing team in the group stages, and then they were just nowhere to be seen in day 1. And we kind of noted this on day 1 of the semifinals, that they are fortunate in the fact that they did have a day off over the weekend to go over VODs and try and figure out what went wrong for them. If they can come into day 3 here today and showcase that they are that top team again, then I'll be really happy. If not, then I'm starting to really start up the alarm bells and consider that potentially their group stages performance was just a very strong opening, but there wasn't really much kindle in that fire. Team India is a team that we've praised time and time again. They're made up of all-star performers in Indian region. And we'll have to see if they can do that as we jump onto Vikendi here for game 1 of day 3.
The straight-up northerly plane will mean that Cosmo going to be looking to be highlighted. Now, a couple of these teams are kind of uncertain as to where they're going to be dropping, because, of course, the new groups coming in from the group stages mean that a lot of these teams have different competition, different players going to different places. I think 8-bit most notably going for some notably hot drops.
Sure, but they're not
finding
today,
not that much competition. Exactly.
It's not going to be relevant.
Yeah.
But we do have a team, India, jumping down to Cement Factory, a team that always goes for those hot drops on Vikendi, but we're also seeing SKUL contesting them. Evil Big Fellas splitting across the easternly route here, and Orb once more going for their famous Cosmodrome drop. where they've been very successful. HYDRA, they like to drop very east to Dobro and then move on into the circle, just use the terrain around there. We'll have to see if that works for them. Currently, with this circle, it's very central.
I think that is the most central you can get a circle to be.
Yeah, especially considering there's a lot of water on Vikendi down that, I guess, center east side. Very central circle for these teams, and it's not going to be there's not going to be much struggle for them to come into the circle here. It works out very well for Team India, who, of course, with Cement Factory being a very large location, will have time to loot it up. We do actually see MegaStars landing very close to another team up into the northwest, and shots being fired as well. Learn from past in their usual location here. We'll be able to move on down, and I think Orb have it best because of the fact that Orb can go from Cosmodrome into Coal Mine.
PixL Spades, though, they've landed Castle. We haven't seen too many teams go there before. They are going to be trying to compete for that location. Difficult to evacuate, but if you get it controlled, it can be pretty convincingly held nonetheless. Of course, it is a castle. It's a fort. It's very difficult to breach on into those walls. But at the moment, it looks like MegaStars are just trying to surround Pain just a little bit further. Pain eSports, that is, of course. We do have Pain Retribution, but they are playing a different game.
And here's coming soon. We'll have to see how they perform today, John, because we've mentioned already they've had a very lackluster start to the semi-finals, and it wasn't what we were expecting from them whatsoever. There you have them, PixL Spades in Castle. The first Castle drop that I have seen so far for the Indian region. And like you mentioned, it's a very difficult location to exit from. And this is probably why teams don't favor it, because it is surrounded by water and 2 bridges. If a team were to recognize this as a normal drop for a team, then they could land very close to the bridges and then camp those bridges, make sure that this team is isolated. So what PixL Spades have done here, have never landed Castle before. Yeah. Now they're landing Castle. It's a shock. It's something new. And that allows them to get the loot from Castle fairly uncontested, because it's very unlikely that teams have noted that that's their normal home ground.
SKUL just on the southern side, just below Cement Factory. Of course, Evil Big Fellas taking that eastern coast, controlling that on the drop. You can see Orb as well over in Cosmodrome. This is what you were talking about earlier, Dalsy. This is where they like to be. They are familiar with the territory, and nobody's really contesting them for it. Yep. So with that, they get really quite strong loot. With the circle as well, they can move there pretty convincingly and pretty quickly.
And also from Cosmodrome, they could move to coal mines if they want to. If they wanted to be a little bit more greedy, when you get the chance to loot up a key location like Cosmodrome, get all that armor, that utility uncontested, and then move into a secondary location, it can create a very scary team heading into the end game. So we'll have to see if Orb do decide to be a little bit greedy with their rotations and maybe push the boat out a little bit, because they're another team that hasn't had a huge performance so far. I think they came top 2, or maybe they came first in one of the day 1 matches, but other than that, it was kind of unconvincing from them. So I'd like to see Orb, I guess, branch out a little bit and start to showcase that they're capable of taking risks to get points on the board.
Maximus Alpha, one of the teams that we're going to be looking out for. Of course, they had a pretty consistent showing over their 4 games so far yesterday. Seoul, another team that we're going to be looking out for as well. Very, very strong fan favorites coming in for the India region. Yeah, so Seoul is a team that had a lot of success in the early days of PUBG Mobile, but since then have kind of teetered off as, I guess, the rest of the organizations and clubs in India have developed and grown together. So far in the PUBG Mobile Club Open, they haven't showcased much strength. However, yesterday, I think we saw them maybe just go, well, all this stuff we've been working on to try and be a top team hasn't really worked out for us. So instead, what we're going to do is play like we own the lobby and just go into compounds, clear them as a unit, and then take fights with anyone rotating towards us. They finished yesterday in 2nd position with 16 kills. And it was a very crazy performance from them, and something that I think a lot of fans in India would want to see time and time again. Look how split Evil are at the moment. I know they were looting up the whole length, but you've got SKUL there contending them. If they get into a fight, they're going to be at a huge disadvantage and just lose someone for no real value gained. You can see GODL as well. They're split up. I think a division of them was actually moving over towards Castle. So 2 of these teams not really being that cohesive unit. You've got MegaStars as well. They left an outpost near to Pain eSports. Oh, that's nice. Really clever, actually. That is really smart. He stayed around the Darcy. He knew. The tire as well. Shadow, what you should be doing at this point is taking the kill and just leaving, because now that Darcia is not useful to the team of Pain, you've got yourself the 1 kill and flushed it.
However, if you lose your life here, it might not be as useful to your team.
He doesn't have the backup of his team as well because they already went out the back. I think that might be Leo just coming on in, maybe trying to save the day there. But you can see Nick is flanking out wide. They're trying to get the angle over onto Shadow. He's peeking though. He's going for the shots and might actually be able to get it done. Cold Blood taking a lot of damage, but they do give out in kind. The rest of the MegaStars now starting to rotate in. You can see them on the southern side of the minimap.
I think if Shadow goes down here, he's actually done a lot of work to put Pain down and below. They're losing armor, they've lost a member. Now he's got the rotation towards the lower ground, so he should be safe to rotate towards his team here. I think Shadow single-handedly shut down Pain's chances in this game.
Really, really strong start for them. A little bit of damage onto his level 2, but it's not really, it's pretty much negligible. Not really that much done to it, and he's managed to get out the back as well. Pain, that is not the one. That's not the start they were looking for. They need to put in performances as well.
Like you mentioned earlier, John, MegaStars, one of the top performing teams in their 4 matches so far. If you take points per average per match, I believe they're second overall.
I think, yeah, they're sat around 4th, I think, of course.
So because of that, it showcases that they're a team that, being floor official before, they're a team that has shown that they are willing to go in above and beyond to attempt to, I guess, contest their opponents here in India. And this is what we're seeing from them. Leaving a scout behind in Shadow to contest a team that was in the similar location, leaving the location quickly as well because they recognize that contested fight sieges are not very valuable because you're just going to lose meds, you're going to lose ammo, you're going to lose your armor. But then with one person single-handedly wiping a member of Pain and then doing damage to the armor of another member, basically, Shadow has just said to Pain, you guys, you landed in our same location, look what I did to you. All by myself, look what I did to you. Never land here again.
Oh, well, speaking of people who are going to shut someone out, it's Viper for the Soul Squad, taking down 2 of the the Brawlers. I think that might, oh no, he didn't get the knock onto Frost. I thought he was
just
a little bit closer, but he will get the flush kill. And Viper, they take out a member of the Brawlers.
This is good. I think Soul is starting to warm up, starting to find their feet here.
Yeah.
In the PUBG Mobile Club Open, which is what a lot of teams wanted to see from Soul. A lot of people feeling that so far, because of the, I guess, performance Soul have put up, they've been overrated by fans, and of course they have such a huge fan base due to their individual players. But now, starting to showcase that actually as a competitive team, they're doing quite some stuff as well.
PixL Spades, they managed to get away from Castle. They're now in a compound, but across the way, you've got Team India, a team that really didn't perform super well yesterday, but we'll see how they're able to do it again. Of course, coming soon, appearing in the kill feed, taking down HYDRA GODL. So HYDRA, they're not off to the best of starts here. Coming soon, they have got control of the compound, and they need these performances as well. We were saying how lackluster they've been so far, but it seems like they've just got a little bit into Vikendi.
Potentially coming soon, just caught in a rotation here. You see a member in the vehicle just looking over towards where coming soon are. They're going to have to leave Bishma here by the care package. Potentially a little bit greedy as well for Bishma and GODL to go for the care package, especially when there is a compound overlooking it. HYDRA had a really strong performance in the group stages, but so far they haven't been showcasing that quite yet here in the semifinals. Team India firing onto Evil Big Fellas, knocking them as we speak. Bishma finally flushed out. And HYDRA losing 2 members early here on Vikendi is going to hurt their ability to come back into this standings.
HYDRA as well, the best performing team on Vikendi, being taken out by not being taken out yet, but being severely limited by coming soon, who are sat down towards the bottom of the tables on their performance here.
And for coming soon, they needed to showcase that they are able to adapt to their misgrievances in day 1. I think that's potentially HYDRA getting a little bit cocky and not rotating in a very smart, well, smart's the wrong word, safe method.
Yeah.
Potentially just feeling like Vikendi is their ground and they can own it. And confidence is good, John, but not when it's at the expense of members.
GODL taking a long-range knock over onto Team India. You can see just a little bit further south from them. They've got the snipers. They've got the sights. Going to be able to have the aim as well as Kratos takes a knee.
Really nice stuff here because it's going to hurt Team India's armor supplies here and their meds.
And it was a headshot as well.
And it was a headshot, so that's a helmet gone most likely. I think what I'd like to see from Team India now, if they wanted to take this long-range battle against GODL, and equally what I would want to see from GODL as well is just drop the armor, drop the helmet, make sure that if you are going to be playing this sniper game from range, that you're not hurting your supplies of armor and helmets, because those are the kind of things that you just don't get back in the late game.
Again, another pretty central shift. It's not too much to complain about for a lot of these teams. They're already in the zone. I'm looking at SKUL, I'm looking at ISO, and Orb from the north. They have to make that rotation, but Orb's pretty much already in there. The most difficult path is going to be for SKUL. They have to get over that river. There's a couple of bridges and a couple of places they can do it, and no one's really going to be watching out there, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But Evil Big Fellas, they're firing onto Pain. They've already lost a player, remember, Pain early.
Yeah, they've lost 2 people here. Nick's knocked, Coldblood's knocked. There's only 1 player
That's
left,
it.
and that's the White coming through. As Jempty cleans out, that's going to be Evil Big Fellas taking down Pain eSports in 16th position. Really set up by Shadow as well from earlier for the MegaStars, and Evil Big Fellas will be thankful for Shadow's work.
Yeah, only 3 players left in their squad, and they're not going to be too happy about that one. 15 teams now remain. Team India still holding strong. I don't think GODL have managed to get any more shots out onto them for now. But coming soon. They're still holding their compound as well. HYDRA have 2 players roaming the hillsides. They might be moving over towards the MegaStars, though, and we've seen what they can do.
Yeah, Drager and Joker here. Joker has been a standout performer for HYDRA, so at least for them, they've got their, I guess, star talent. Drager as well will be able to shot call as the in-game leader for HYDRA.
Maximus Alpha, they've caught SKUL on that rotation. We said it was going to be tricky, but no one was really watching. Apparently Maximus Alpha were.
Yeah, so this is just Jonathan, and this is SKUL doing a smart thing, sending 1 player to scout out compounds that they want to go towards. And if there is a team there, then you only lose a single member, and so the rest of SKUL will be fine. SKUL, of course, using good rotational methods just to protect the team at whole. But now the rest of them are caught across the squad in a crossfire because of the fact they've lost their scout. They don't exactly know where they're going, and that's them wiped by Team India.
That's a lot of frags being picked up there, of course. The Brawlers, they're pinned down just a little bit by Soul, I believe, just further up the hill. But you can see there's teams behind them as well. It's coming soon in that compound to their south. So they do have a rock and a hard place, and they're trapped straight between it.
Yeah, very difficult for them. They're going to hope that the circle comes towards them just a little bit, I think, John. Can't really do much about that for now. PixL Spades and ZFX Evolution going to be contesting the same point of interest here. I'm assuming that they've potentially spot each other from across the way. Very spread out, both these teams, so that they can scout any teams coming in to here.
Yeah, in terms of urban combat, it's pretty smart to be spread out. If you're holding the same building, nades can have a lot more impact than otherwise thought. You have a lot more different angles to be peeking from, and you do need to make sure you clear them.
Orbs trying to compound breach on to learn from past here, and learn from past about as spread as they could be. Snack's going to be the single target, as Paradox and Encore don't really have the position to be able to assist their team.
The thing is, though, Orb, 2 players are still too far out. They've tried to go for the breach, and they've just jumped the gun a little bit. You can see King on the back, but now they can start to mount up. They've made that building insurgency. Now the rest of the team is here. They can start to pull it together, but they've already taken a little bit of damage.
Sure, but so has Snacks in the building, who's just managed to get out. Really smart rotational play here from Snacks, and the cover suppressing fire coming through from his teammates to allow that has worked a treat. Here comes the Phase 3 circle reveal, and it's going to go fairly central here. Villa going to be the center location of this, where Team Soul currently sit. Lots of these teams practically in the circle. The only one who's outside of it is ISO. But Ben, we go back to this compound breach from Orb, and knock onto Paradox. They're so coordinated in their efforts, very grouped up, allowing them to spray as a unit, whereas Learn from Past are split. And so currently, if Orb play this fairly patiently, they're going to have the advantage in this compound breach, and Learn from Past could be going out fairly early.
You did get the knock, but the res is through. Paradox can start to heal up now. Not too sure where their vehicles are in this compound, but if they're in the center, Learn from Past are really going to struggle to get back to them, because, of course, that's really their way out at this stage, is to grab those vehicles and bug out. But I don't think they're going to be able to push up to them. You can see there's that Darcia just sat in the middle of the compound, and Orb now have Overwatch on it.
You can see setting up the pre-picks. Looking for members. They've got utility. Oh, whoops, Daisy.
Oh, no.
Oh, dear. That's unfortunate, because at this point, up until this point, Orb were breaching this compound fantastically, but then you get a small micro mistake, and it immediately sets you back. Still, I think that Orb have the advantage here, due to the fact that they're all together. Learn from Past a little bit too split for my liking. Like you mentioned, the vehicles inside of the compound are kaput. Not going to be very useful to any of these teams. You can't jump in them to escape.
The wheels go.
and the wheels are being popped as well. Looks like Team India are going to make a rotation towards Tovar here, where 2 squads have already set up. Potentially making a rotation. It might actually just be them sitting in their compound still. Like we mentioned, the only team that actually have to move into the Phase 3 circle is ISO, and because they're so south-westernly, there's actually going to be very little to contest them for. Should be fine to do so. And so once more on Vikendi, we're going to have a very slow start to our game. The real excitement of this game so far is this compound fight between Orb, but I feel like the longer these fights go, John, the less valuable they become to each of these teams. Eventually someone has to pull the trigger and try and wipe the other team out, because what they're doing is just damaging each other's armor and losing meds, and that's not very valuable to either of these two teams. You want to wipe the other one out definitively so that you can have the compound as well as all the resources that are being wasted right now.
Yeah, you certainly could. Or if you're looking at learn from past, you can just try and get away from this. You can use the hills as cover.
That's it.
We're into the late stages of the circle. They don't necessarily need the vehicles. They could just, instead of trying to pull the trigger on the fight, pull the trigger on the retreat.
Yeah, it has to be a definitive shot call one way or the other.
Yeah.
Either you take the fight or you leave. Sieges like this don't really, no one really wins. Of course, no one really loses, but eventually one team will be in a worse position because of it, which could hurt your late game, which in this tournament for the PUBG Mobile Club Open, it's all about placement. It's all about where you finish at the end of the game. That's what these teams need. It's going to be a very difficult angle to get this into the window. I don't think Encore quite has it, but he's going to attempt it.
Fine.
Ooh, he just found a tiny little peek of it, but the issue is you don't want to do what Gatug just did here, which was you know, throw a Molotov on your feet. So definitely got to be a little bit safer there.
Just going to hold on to that one for now, and again, they're just going to bide their time. ISO have rotated in. They are into this third phase circle. You can see they have that southwesterly border, and they are pretty much uncontested, only coming soon really ahead of them at the moment, a little bit closer to the center. GODL, they still have a compound. Everyone pretty spread out at this stage, and no one's really getting too much done. But you can see the next circle going to be popping very, very soon as these players start to cluster towards the center. This is probably the most central circle I've ever seen.
Center, 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 and Villa once more being part of it. This time it's leaving HYDRA, Joker out, and MegaStars. ISO going to have to rotate in from the west, but practically every team's going to be in it. And so, again, begs the question, should Orb and Learn from Past be making a decision to fight or flee? Are they happy to co-inhibit a small compound together? We've seen that teams that do this tend to struggle when the circle then shifts off them. That's when it becomes very tricky and the timer gets put on you. And when a timer's put on you, John, you then have to you sometimes panic. Shot calling comes out, which is a bit difficult.
Something as well, if talking of timers being put on, that PixL ZFX standoff, that needs to happen pretty soon. Someone needs to move, someone needs to budge, because they are going to have to make that rotation. They're in the next circle, sure, but you're looking 2-3 minutes in the future, they're going to have to get out of that town, and they're going to have to be moving away. So doing so safely might be early in terms of where it's best placed.
The good thing for them, though, is that they haven't actually fought each other yet. They're very separated in Tovar. They're not too close, and they don't have line of sight either. And so at least for ZFX Evolution and PixL Spades, they're co-inhabiting very nicely and very neatly. Like you mentioned, when the rotation is forced, that could get a little bit messy. We'll have to watch for that from Tovar in Phase 5 if the circle does shift off them. You can see Learn from Past is starting to make this push. They've decided they need to do it sooner rather than later, and all approaching the compound here to look for a breach. They've got the knock on Neo, and that's going to be the catalyst for it.
The nade bounce didn't find the window. If it had, it might have been a little bit stronger, but Learn from Past, they've spotted out one. King is going to take the fire first, but he's behind the wall. You've got the outside flank starting to come through for them as well as the breach comes in full, thick, and fast. They push in, King goes down, and there's no backup from the outside, but he pushes, and Paradox is just going to gun everybody down in his sights. Let's see what more he can do as well. Goes to the reload, looks for the rest of the players as well. Gatuk goes down, and they're trying to keep it done, but Paradox is going to be there, and they wipe it out. Orb full.
Really love this from Learn from Past, finally pulling the trigger and making a definitive decision that they had to push on Orb because they didn't want to lose out when the rotation play would come through. And that's exactly what we want to see from these teams here, the ability to pull the trigger when necessary. For Learn from Past, a very poor performance in the earlier stages of day 2 of the semifinals, but they've been ramping up slowly and we like to see it. We did just see an Orm gifted to where GODL is, and the circle is going to be good for it. Of course, Evil Big Fellas will have to rotate down to where GODL is posted, as well as Maxell. Learn from Past, so key that fight happened just now because they've got a safer rotation into the circle.
And this is the thing now. PixL Rain have PixL Spades have got to be moving up north, whereas ZFX, they are actually still in the zone for the next time around. So this is the clock that we were talking about before with these two teams. We're also looking over towards the north side of the circle, where you have two teams. Evil Big Fellas were certainly one of them. I can't remember exactly which team was the other one, but they have to move, and it's all going to be to do how they play around those ridges in order to get forward.
I'd like to see PixL Spades actually just leave Tovar and move towards that western side. The only issue that they don't know of, but we do because we have overview, is that ISO do have a compound that they may look to breach upon, but at least for that, they will exit Tovar safely, and then they can start breaching compounds, which they may prefer because there's more agency when you're making the decision to breach a compound rather than leave an area. Like you mentioned, HYDRA, MegaStars on that northern west will have to push on in, but they're pushing towards where Villa is, and we already know that there's a team posted up here. Here's MegaStars pushing on towards coming soon, and that's one knock already onto Khan. A lot of damage going down, 2 knocks coming through as the Brawlers third party this fight. MegaStars in trouble here. They had such a strong performance yesterday, but here on Vikendi, they're stuck between a rock and coming soon. And at the moment, they're losing members daily. Joker, I think, third partying. We've got 4 parties involved in this fight. MegaStars in the smoke trying to get the heals. Its final boss currently prone down, trying to heal on up and get a res out if he can, and he does, but now they have to get the other members up and somehow escape this awful position, which I just don't see it happening. They've got HYDRA above them, Brawlers to the right of them, and coming soon below them. They're going to have to push on up. Here's the replay of this fight coming through from coming soon.
You can see here's the spray down. They get out of the Darcia, and they're just lit up from all sides. Everybody just turns their way and rattles those shots off. No way you're going to be able to stand up to that. And that is going to severely shred MegaStars' armor, their meds as well moving forwards. And they get down again. This is disastrous for them. With that blow up as well, that might actually just confirm it. I think the Brawlers got that one as well. They take Shadow down as well, and they are losing teams. MegaStars looking to go out here. Very, very unlikely they're going to be able to get back into it.
Final boss is alive, and he's going to be able to get the res onto Khan if he wants to, but Leo recognizes that he has to start moving with the smoke cover, and he's decided to move northernly, which is probably the best play. The circle is going to shift, so they're going to have to move north and then into the west, east even. Lots of teams on this eastern and northernly flank that are going to have to move into the new circle, and as we enter phase 5, this is going to be a bloodbath. Learn from past, and Evil Big Fellas are stuck on the edge of the circle, not a place they want to be because they have one of the longest distances to rotate into the circle. With Snaps already down and Paradox basically split from him, it looks like Learn from Past are going to be in the worst position.
And that was MegaStars just getting eliminated there. They were out in 13th place. Really not having the best of luck on that crash with the Darcia behind the rock. They got lit up everywhere. Dryger going down as well, and Learn from Past taking heavy knocks. That's finally the confirm from Evil Big Fellas. Paradox tries to get in the Darcia. Let's see where he can get with this, but there's plenty of players watching his way. The teams are there thick and fast. There's plenty of walls to play around, and he might just be able to get away with it.
Does get away with it, but he is going to be practically a solo player contesting an entire club in Villa, which is very difficult. You can see this fight that we pre-fixed here between PixL and ZFX, and that UAZ looks like it may have taken some heavy fire from the staircase here. ZFX Evolution actually coming out in the worst position because they're stuck in a lower ground and have to push towards PixL Spades now if they want to get out of Tovar. So good rotation coming through from PixL Spades to leave the city earlier rather than later. Here's that Team India. They're going to have to push into GODL. Maximus Alpha is crashing into Team India as well, and ZFX Evolution are struggling to get out of their hole.
PixL Spades, they made the rotation early. That's what we were talking about. Beat the clock, get out there first, and now ZFX have got to make the work happen. See what they can get done. Team India just lighten up Maximus Alpha. This is not looking good for them at the moment. They've got one more player still rolling around, and I don't know if he's going to be able to quite reach the speed of sound, but King is going to just go down as well. Get that confirmed on board. A team that we haven't seen so much from since the early game Seoul. They've managed to hold down Villa pretty convincingly. No one has been able to really breach into that, and it's going to take quite a strong squad breach to be able to take it from them.
Yeah, it certainly is, because they've got all 4 members alive, if I remember correctly. They should be able to hold down Villa. Here's the replays coming through of the earlier fight coming out from Team India as they sprayed down Maximus Alpha, blowing up that vehicle, claiming a kill, and Satan being knocked as well. Of course, GODL are there as well, meaning that Maximus Alpha and Team India are going to be in a bit of trouble later on. PixL Spades finally crashing into ISO, and they've got ZFX Evolution coming up behind them.
Although that one is down. Team India are pushing into GODL as we speak. Stalgic looking for a little bit more. I don't think that was too successful. GODL all very low. Could be one single spray down that's going to take it. Assassin falls low, and the rest of the team from Team India are going to be able to roll on through, and that's them getting eliminated. GODL go out in 12th, and this crash from ISO is not going to stop anytime soon either.
That's insane stuff coming through from Team India here. Right now they have to deal with Learn from Pass up to their north, but they've done really good stuff. Like you mentioned, PixL Spades. Where's ZFX Evolution? Did they get wiped in that chaos as well? They may have done. PixL Spades still have all 4 members alive, but Raka is knocked, and they're struggling to get the reses down. There's some knocks coming through from Coming Soon, third partying onto this. PixL Spades, they needed to move quicker, and now they can't get out of this situation with Maximus Alpha on one side of the hill, ISO basically preventing both coming through, and Coming Soon having oversight of the battle to be able to spray on down to anyone who shows their face.
But this, yet again, is going to favor the teams already in the circle. I think you can see the Brawlers are just there. This is Zone 7, and we still have 9 teams left. There's a lot of terrain that they can play around, but with HYDRA Joker going down, that is the team falling out in 9th place. So we're now down to 8 teams in this 7th phase. This stack of 3 teams around this mountain is going to have to move in the next 30 seconds, and they need to try and find some ground, some safety, some respite from the storm.
The Brawlers have zone! They have the middle of the zone. They are dead packed in the center, and they've got a compound as well. They should be in the best position. Team India really the only team that can push on into their location and provide some bit of fight. Team India actually spraying on towards Maximus Alpha here, knocking Satan, and it's only Kratugya here left alive to try and push on in, but he has so many people around him to stop him. Jas is going to be preventing him from pushing through the smoke here, and Jas will find the kill onto them. In fact, it's Team India through the spray.
PixL Spades, though, they're coming in for the backstab. Phoenix up on high, will get knocked on out. That's not going to be super strong for them, and teams are going to start to fall. PixL Spades will go out in 7th. We're down to 6 now, but you can see on the northern side, you've got Team Seoul.
Yep.
They are holding strong for now. The Brawlers right in the center, but this push from the east needs to start to come into effect.
Learn from Pass have a single member alive, and Team India are very aware of the location, watching over. Potentially Encore might be able to put some trouble. In fact, he has. He's knocked 2 players from Team India on the flank as they try to rotate into the circle. Is getting sprayed upon by the rest of Team India and will go out in 6th position. But now Team India have to try and get members up before they push on in. Only 1 member live here from ISO, trying to put Coming Soon under pressure. But as you can see, the circle is so clustered with teams from the north, south, and east trying to push on into this compound that the Brawlers own.
Team Seoul should have a pretty strong advantage here. They haven't been in too many fights as the rest of everybody else has been cleaning themselves out. So I'm looking to them to be this powerhouse that could go for this squad breach in towards the Brawlers' position. They're really one of the only teams that could do it. At the moment, Coming Soon, they have 8 kills under their belt. This is the sort of performance we were looking for from them, and they've already managed to, well, with Ninja going out, they've already managed to hit 4th position, and that is a huge turn up for the books, especially off the back of a poor performance the other day.
Team Seoul have 4, Coming Soon have 3. It's going to be Team India with 4 and Brawlers with 4. A crazy circle here at the end of Phase 8. And the circle once more closing on the Brawlers' location. Nova King over-scouting the north to where Seoul want to push on in. Smokes will be the key factor here. If you can throw a smoke at Nova's compound, at Brawler's compound, then you can push on up. We'll have to see if they're capable of doing it, as Coming Soon decide to do it without smokes. They get punished by pretty much everyone in the circle.
That's going to be actually Brawlers taking that kill away over on Coming Soon. Seoul getting rattled on by Team India as they go for the flank. There's still 2 players up and kicking, but they've lost 1 in the process. 1's down as well. Oh dear, the fire is going to burn out as well, and that's Coming Soon getting yet another knock. And they are going to lose a lot of pressure for that. The Brawlers holding strong so far.
Love the smokes coming through. They've basically blocked the Brawlers out from the fight. This gives Seoul an attempt to try and basically cover fire onto Team India, but it's not working for them. It's going to be Mortal knocked. Only Viper left remaining standing to try and push Seoul deeper into the circle. Here comes Existence trying to push forward. He has smoke cover from Team India. Iconic can look through the window to try and find Existence. Maybe they can get closer. That's Viper going down. Seoul out in 4th and Coming Soon out in 3rd. Team India versus the Brawlers here as Phase 8 closes out.
There's the spray. The Brawlers, they really have the advantage here. This compound has been just closed on by these circles time and time again.
It's in the center as well, so when Phase 9 decides to come about, the circle's going to close on the compound once more, which means Team India have to push on forward. I think Team India are out of smokes at this point. They've got 3 members alive, 3 members from the Brawlers. It's about as even of a fight as you could hope for, but of course the Brawlers have the cover of the walls, the building as well, and what they're doing right now is very smart, John, moving out the back to get better positions on the rest of Team India. 2 knocks come through from Nova King. That just leaves 1 member from Team India to make the play, and it doesn't look likely.
He's gotten close. They do spot him out. They know exactly where his position is at the moment. He has the AK, but he needs to find a lot more. Nice spray to find one of the Brawlers. Sprays into the window to try and take that second frag. There's 2 players left in front of him to go for it. Pops out the Molotov, looking to try and burn it away, try and deny that pickup coming on through. You can see that's a lot of damage. The smoke's blooming, but it's not going to stop it.
That smoke could actually help the Jits here as he pushes past, to the rocket, gets to it. Iconic reloads. Going to be 14 seconds until Zone 9 starts closing in, and potentially the clutch play could come through. The res will come through. The armor very low for Daljit here, and he doesn't have his stims going. Currently holding with the AK, but he needs to find 3 1v1v1s against the Brawlers to make it happen, and he also has to push on into the compound. He
needs to try and find some nades from somewhere. I think he might just be out. That final Molotov might be it. He goes out wide, goes for the peak, and that's going to be it. The Brawlers hold the compound. They will claim victory on Vikendi on the first map of today. 10 kills coming in from them. Team India putting up a lot of kills as well. They have had a huge game there with 15 on the board.
We're starting to see a revolution here in the group semi-finals here. Differences between the group stages showing to be strong here. The Brawlers making a big claim for themselves here on Vikendi, holding that compound down so successfully, but Team India once more showing why they're such a strong force with 15 kills across the board. Finally, coming soon and Seoul show their faces, John, in Vikendi to get some points and rack it up and show their fans that they're here to play. And like we mentioned earlier, ISO constantly being in that top 6 possession means that they're just creeping into the top of the scoreboard here. Yesterday was a bit of a clown fiesta as far as the standings were concerned. So many teams that we expect to do well didn't. So many teams that needed points got them. And today we're starting to see that uprise of competition here in India as the teams start to figure out rotations and discover themselves in the PUBG Mobile Club Open.
Especially on a map like Vikendi, it is going to make up a majority. Well, not a majority. It's going to make up a significant chunk of the semi-final maps, which all of these teams are going to be playing. So figuring it out has been pretty important so far. Coming soon, I wrote down in my notebook, coming soon, are they done? That's what I wrote down because they were really, really underperforming. But with that performance coming out, they managed to step up just a little bit better. So nice to see that coming out from them.
I really love this from Learn From Past, and I want to see it more from the Indian teams, taking compound breaches earlier rather than later when they are forced to do so. That's what went wrong for ZFX Evolution. They didn't take the compound breach in Tova, didn't take that fight against PixL sooner rather than later, and they got basically ruined by the circle because of that. Learn From Past, they managed to get a player right on into the end game, and it really worked out for them. But once again, it's Team India with fantastic terrain rotations, one of the weaknesses of the Indian region in general when you compare them to the rest of the world in the PUBG Mobile Club Open. And Vikendi, Miramar are maps that you have to have good terrain rotations, really understand it. And this is where India basically thrived to be able to push on towards the Brawlers and take second position.
Yeah, that southern side of the circle was so deadly. We saw 3 teams stacked up around that big rock that we just saw Phoenix shooting down from. And that rotation, as soon as they had to move away from that, they were pretty much done for. And that's the idea here, is to try and look not 1 circle, maybe not even 2 circles, but about 3 circles in the future and try and make those rotations early, get the positions you're looking for. The Brawlers, they were able to have the luck this time around. They got the circles closing down on them and they forced everybody else to come to them. And when you dance to the beat of someone else's drum, well, they're going to tell you how to jig.
Of course, sometimes you will get the zone luck towards the end phases of the game, but especially in the early stages, a lot of these teams are able to predict where they think the circle is going to go and put themselves in good positions, and that's where Team India really stood out, and Team Seoul as well stood out to be able to get into the late games because they were positioning correctly in the earlier phases. Brawlers got the compound this game here on Vikendi. Potentially, though, when we jump over to Sanhok, they're not going to get as fortunate in the later phases. And what we then want to see from them is the ability to rotate successfully into circles and showcase that their rotational ability was good. There's some stuff that we saw there from some teams, like Learn From Past, like PixL Spades, making early rotations out of their compounds so that they could have a chance at the endgame circle, putting themselves in the best position to succeed. That's what we want to see from all the teams across the region.
You can see the 37-point game coming out from Team India, 15 kills, a very strong performance, even though they did come into second place. Of course, just going out to Brawlers, who got 10 kills as well, and they were able to put up quite a performance. They would have got 40 points for that on their chicken dinner, but you can see here's the comparison of Team India and coming soon, coming out in third place, who were one of the teams that, as we said, had underperformed previously. They've stepped up today. They should be really happy with that performance on Vikendi, but they can't rest on their laurels. They have a long way to climb because they were sat in second to last on the leaderboards.
Yeah, certainly were. Coming soon, very happy with this performance from them. We are seeing the slow methodical play on Vikendi, John, constantly as teams have to rotate around the compounds in the terrain with their vehicles and basically try and find areas in the circle they can fight from. We are going to see a stark difference, though, in match 2 of today as we jump over to Vikendi, because, Sanhok, because Sanhok is such a small map, and it basically comes down to micro decisions for a lot of these teams, where they position, how they take fights, and their willingness to disengage quickly or commit quickly with their utility. Sometimes the teams that get the circle are just the lucky ones when it comes to Sanhok, and it can be very chaotic, but we have seen teams basically fight tooth and nail to take victories in Sanhok, and I'll be interested to see what we get today, because what we're seeing so far in the semifinals here in day 3 is these teams starting to improve both their macro and their micro decisions, which will be emphasized on Sanhok certainly as we get there.
Not only that, but they're improving their set play styles. I mean, we're seeing time and time again, these breaches start to come on through a little bit more effectively.
Part of PUBG.
It's so important to be taking note of it because it shows how they are picking up on things that are being put down by other regions, by the players over on the PC style as well. But if you don't want to be playing on PC, you want to be playing on mobile, make sure you check out Vivo, the official smartphone of the PUBG Mobile Club Open 2019.
Certainly good kit. And if you want to learn more about the PUBG Mobile Club Open, look at the standings from India and the rest of the world, then head on over to clubopen.pubgmobile.com, where you can find standings, groups, and roster information for the PUBG Mobile Club Open.
And if you want to check out the highlights, all the VODs, all the replays, things like that, see just how the Brawlers were able to do it on that previous map, you can head over to the YouTube channel. That's PUBG Mobile Esports, and you can check out there. Subscribe, ring that notification bell, and make sure you're up to date with all of the action across all of the regions for the PUBG Mobile Club Open.
Vikendi's quite a slow map, but that was probably one of the most fun Vikendis we've had so far here in India, because the teams were very confident in their rotations and took fights early. That's an upscale for India. The region's getting stronger. Sanhok is our next match.
Certainly is. A little bit faster, a little bit more chaotic, and after the chaos of yesterday, we're fully used to it at this stage. So hopefully we'll have some great action coming for you pretty soon. But for now, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, Sanhok, the second map of the day, will be on your plates, ready to try and find that chicken dinner.
Vivo. Zombie, Darkest Night. The newest mode in the zombie universe is here. This time, the rules are different. No more parachuting, as players will be placed at random locations on the map when the match begins, and there is no single winner. Players must work with their teammates to spend one long night in the match and stay alive until the sun comes up. Waves and waves of zombies will spawn during each of the 3 foggy periods at night, and supplies should only be scavenged when the fog fades. The main objective is not to defeat other players, though this doesn't mean they are harmless. Players may need to work with other teams when necessary, but should also watch their backs in case the Fragile Alliance goes south. This will be a unique experience for every player involved. This new mode also comes with a passive skill for every player. Understanding these skills will be the key to staying alive in this long night. Can you ride out the night?
Play PUBG Mobile for free.
Do you play PUBG Mobile? Maybe you never run out of stamina. Maybe you're always aware of your surroundings. Maybe you're an amazing cook with the pan. Maybe you're a great driver. But as soon as you hear the sound of an airplane, you get into the zone. In PUBG Mobile, you all come from different walks in life. But you face the same dangers on the battleground. And you become friends. You work together to overcome the obstacles. This is PUBG Mobile. There's a #1 in all of us. Welcome to the PUBG Mobile first anniversary party. PUBG Mobile. Be the one.
Welcome back to the PUBG Mobile Club Open 2019. This is the Indian region. My name is John Allen. With me, Dowsey. We had a great start with Vikendi. We're going to be heading over onto Sanhok next and seeing what these teams can get done in a little bit of a more chaotic situation.
I mean, Sanhok is such a small map, John. It's a very difficult map for these teams to navigate. It's 4x4, smallest map in PUBG Mobile, in PUBG in total. And so it all comes down to your ability to frag out, as well as the decisions you make with rotations. Even just going 10 meters to the west could be an issue for you. So you have to really understand the different terrains in Sanhok and then really be coordinated. An in-game leader's nightmare as far as PUBG is concerned.
Yeah, of course, we're looking at a couple of these teams to be able to continue to roll on the performance they had just previously. We're looking at teams like ISO to come in. You've got MegaStars who need a little bit stronger of a performance moving here. And you've got coming soon, I think, is probably the team that's really at the forefront of my mind moving forwards here, because they just had a really, really strong showing. They had a lot of kills, they had a high finish, so a lot of points coming on board. I think they managed to get 29, 20 something around that points. So are they going to be able to continue to do that, or will the chaos prove to be their Achilles heel?
I think that teams can feel a little bit, I guess, relaxed in the idea that if things don't go well on Sanhok, it's not the end of the world. They've got a double dosage of Erangel coming up after that, which is far more calculated for a lot of these teams. We can have a look at the standings and see where all these teams are at. A lot of the teams from Group A are in the top of the leaderboard right now with their 8 matches played. The rest of Group B and Group C at 5. But when you look at the teams that have 5 matches played and are creeping up, the Brawlers and ISO are starting to push on into this top 8.
Yeah, of course, with their performances coming on in the previous map, they had a really strong showing. Obviously, Brawlers kicking themselves up a gear and trying to claim one of those top spots. Not many of these teams being seen today, but on the next screen, I'm sure we'll see a lot of these teams starting to come on through, a lot more power being developed through the top sections of groups B and C here. Obviously, Team India, a very strong team. They placed highly as well previously. Are they going to be able to roll that forwards? That's sort of their momentum trying to build. And Team Seoul with a cracking game as well.
I mean, we expect Team India to climb up this leaderboard over today, John, and really showcase why they are the star power of India, constantly have been at the top of the competition as individuals now under the same banner, looking to try and showcase that they're the strongest club in India. Team Seoul, really excited for them now because, you know, they have the fan power as individuals, they have the fan power as a team, and they've just not shown it to us yet. But now we're starting to see the glimpses of why this team has dominated in so many events in India in the past. 2 matches in a row, one on Erangel, one on Vikendi, has shown that Team Seoul are starting to step up their game. They can continue to do so on Sanhok, on the double doses of Erangel to finish off week 1 of the semifinals. Then players fans of Team Seoul can suddenly get really excited that they're back and really contesting India once more.
I mean, they were excited before. We'll see how much more excited they become as Team Seoul continue to climb that ladder. Looking now there, you can see coming soon, they've managed to jump up a little bit now in 17th position. They're doing pretty well. Evil Big Fellas, a little bit lackluster. PixL Spades, they had a couple of good rotations, but still leaves a lot to be desired. I'm really looking at the bottom and seeing GODL and thinking,
GODL SKUL,
God help 'em.
ZFX Evolution, Pain eSPORTS, PixL Spades, Evil Big Fellas, Orb, and coming soon are all teams that are playing today. So they all have the chance to make their destiny. A lot of players will prefer to be in this position where they are playing and have, I guess, a goal they can reach and know that they are in control of reaching that goal. But like you mentioned, that is 8 teams that are playing today that would face elimination next week if they were to stay in this position. And for some of these teams, like coming soon, that's a very shocking thing considering that they had such a strong performance in the group stages. And so as we jump onto Sanhok and potentially even more so when we get into Erangel later on in the day. It's going to be really important to see if these bottom 8 teams can make it out of that red zone and showcase why they deserve a spot at the regional finals.
It's going to be difficult to prove it, but you can get there certainly. Obviously, the regional finals will be on LAN as well, so it creates a little bit of a different circumstance. Maybe, you know, a lot of these players might be suffering from latency issues or, you know, things like that. But once you get onto that LAN environment, things speed up a lot. They go down, the ping goes down all the way, and you can suddenly start to have a little bit more fun with it.
I mean, if people wanted to kind of see the difference that some of the latency issues have when it comes to the Indian region, maybe other regions, just have a look at North America and have a look at Europe, and you can see, at least on our observer feeds, how more crisp that competition is, because the players are so much closer together and the infrastructure is there. And so what all of these players are doing right now is putting up huge performances on the worst of conditions. So they can only imagine how better it will get when they make it to a LAN phase and have the crispness of a connection that allows them to execute in those engages how they feel they should be able to right now.
And that's the thing as well, because of course you're looking at these teams having to put in good performances, which means if they're not able to fully rely on just their aim, on their gun skill, because of that, they are having to put in the effort on their rotations, and they are starting to clean them up. They're starting to be very strong. They have to make sure their set plays are on point and make sure that what they're doing is working on more than just, oh, I can beat you in a gunfight, on that sort of level.
And I think that's why we're starting to see a bit of a regional meta here in India of not taking fights in compounds when they should potentially be doing so, when that's the better decision to make. A lot of these teams will prefer to siege for a long period of time because they don't necessarily feel they can rely on their current stability of network connection to be able to hit the shots. However, the teams that are starting to get a little bit more confident in this, John, are the ones that are coming out on top. And so if they can then convert that to in the semifinals and get more and more confident with that, then they will be the monsters when it comes to the LAN play, setting up and practicing for a time when that's going to be even more important. And so it's really interesting to see how these players prefer to rotate and how they prefer to play in the later phases of the game. And it makes a lot of sense because here in the PUBG Mobile Club Open, it's all about placement and getting into that top 5 so you can get the most points, with kills only being 1 point apiece and first place being 30 points. There's a stark difference in style there. So for a lot of these players, they will prefer to play for that rotation game. You can call them campers or you like. This isn't pubs. This is a very important tournament where $2.5 million is on the line, and these players are fighting to establish India as a true dominant force in the PUBG Mobile scene globally, not just in their own region. They want to contest China, they want to contest Southeast Asia, and they want to show North America and Europe that the East knows how to play PUBG Mobile the best.
Certainly do. I mean, obviously we all know that it's played better than America, because that's by far the worst region, but, you know, Europe, they're traditionally strong in shooters, in FPS titles and things like that, although it's technically third person, but, you know.
Who's caring?
Exactly. Who cares? Who cares? Who gives a hoot? But we'll traditionally very strong in that sort of genre, but looking at what sort of games have been in that genre, it's all very much a two-party kind of game.
Right.
When you move it to a battle royale style, when you move it into becoming a lot more reliant on the general overview of what's going on and having those tactics, those strategies, that's where the East can start to come in, because strategic thinking has always been places like Korea, places like China, and places like India as well, starting to come through on the same vein. They've always been very strategically minded, and they're starting to bring that through to the battle royale.
And the thing that China, across pretty much any esport title, whether it be on mobile or PC, on console, whatever it is, the thing that's always set them apart from other regions is their aggression and their outright just willingness to trust in their own mechanical skill to win out in different places. So if you compare mechanical skill in PUBG Mobile and a bit of brain power behind that, that's a very dangerous squad all of a sudden. What we have here in India is a lot of thinking going on about how you rotate and how you set up in the circle, which fights you want to take, which ones you don't want to take. What they now need to be practicing and being a bit more proactive in is their ability to fight and the gunpowder that comes into the game here. A lot of teams, especially towards the bottom pack, are not wanting to go for that, John.
Heading over into Sanhok, though, we'll see just what people are going to head for. A very central plane, but on Sanhok, pretty much everywhere is available pretty much all the time, barring some very, very dramatic planes. But we'll see where people look to start to go now.
Team India like to drop down near the bottom side of the map. You can see them going right now towards Camp Charlie. GODL always landing in the top north side of the map, and this time they're going a little bit more east than usual. No one... Oh, actually, it's MegaStars going for Paradise Resort. I was thinking with TeamINSIDIOUS not in the lobby, that would be a very free location, and you can see that it is. That's a huge shift.
That's very dramatic, actually, because that's going to isolate the western island, and there needs to be some big crosses. Obviously, that's the big stretch of water that needs to be navigated now, so that's going to be very, very difficult. A team that we're obviously going to be paying attention to coming soon. They're just over in the compounds near Barn, so they should be able to get some decent loot on board and make their way out west. Luckily, not too many teams have gone east, so this circle, not too dramatic for them, but the crossing going to be the deadly part.
SKUL love to drop down in docks, and this is probably the worst circle for docks because they have to make the longest rotation across the island, and they have to decide, do they want to travel onto Charlie Island up into Beta Island, or if they're going to stick it out and swim across the canals. And not only that, because of Team India's position, they're even in a worse position. Dreger going to find Kritugya here and confirm the kill immediately. So unfortunately for Maximus Alpha, losing a player very early. I don't actually see Maximus Alpha anywhere near this location, so potentially they're very split in this circle.
Something we saw as well, Brawlers were right in the middle of the circle. This is exactly how they won the previous game, so it's a good start for them. In Painan, just a little bit further south, across either side of the river, you've got two teams just positioning. You've got over in the ruins, Orb.
They always drop in ruins, every time.
Traditionally, as is always, it's a fixed point in time, really.
What happens is that Orb lands in ruins, and ZFX Evolution land very close to it, and then those teams crash into each other very consistently.
Seoul, boot camp, completely alone. Brilliant loot. They're going to be absolutely stacked.
They do have to cross at some point, but you're right, John. Of course, if they can loot boot camp up quickly and then cross onto Beta Island very quickly as well, they're going to be in a great position to get into the middle of the circle. Here's the Brawlers, like we mentioned, in Camp Beta, the best position they could have as far as this circle is concerned, and that allows them to loot up this military location and then choose the locations on the Beta Island that they want. I have to imagine that the hilltop is going to be the main focus point for the Brawlers, and a lot of teams will try and contest that, but if the Brawlers can get there early, they're going to be in a very good position to control the pacing of the earlier phases.
King of the Hill already being set up. The Brawlers the ones to dismount, certainly. Learn from past and PixL Spades just on opposite sides there. A little bit of an early cross coming out from ISO. This does make sense, making those early crosses, as you pointed out. So they are just going to make their way to that little island in the river.
Whenever we see a circle quite as drastic as this one, we often look towards phase 3 to be the bloodbath phase, as the teams are forced to cross onto the island. Due to the way that competitive PUBG Mobile circles work, they try to shift away from water. There is a lot of water in this phase 1 circle. Now, there is a very small, slim possibility that the circle could shift back onto the main island of Sanhok here. It's very unlikely, but if that was to happen, then it would be a nightmare, because a lot of teams right now are making those decisions as a club to cross over to the Beta Island here, the top northwest island, to basically try and find circle priority and avoid the choke point that happens across those bridges and canals later on in the game. You can see SKUL down in docks. We mentioned that this is the worst drop location for this circle for them, but this is where they always drop. Usually what happens is they're able to rotate up the east of the main island and then take that northern side fairly safely, but unfortunately for them, they're basically having to make a long rotation.
Maximus Alpha did take a casual early on. M24 shot onto Coming Soon, who really do need to continue to try and keep that momentum up. ISO, though, they've spotted out HYDRA, and over the way, Ninja's going to try and rattle some shots off onto Joker. Joker, one of the more aggressive players that we see here in the Indian region, and quite dynamic, so maybe he's not going to take this one lying down.
Yeah, I mean, him and Godkill make a very scary pairing with Bishma to support from afar, and Dreger able to make the calls. Already we see the rotation on the main island, or sorry, the circle island, you can call it Beta Island, coming through was Evil Big Fella is going to contest Brawler's location. We'll have to keep a note on that because right now ISO and HYDRA, this fight's still going and looks like ISO are losing. In fact, they're just leaving. They're just leaving their member here, Ninja, to die to HYDRA. They want to try and make the rotations towards the main island as soon as possible.
And there we go, Ninja getting confirmed on out by Joker, who did lead the charge in. Took a couple of bullets and thought, hang on a minute, this is not what we like to see. And they are going to go for it. Orb starting to rattle off some shots over onto PixL Spades, but Evil making the breach onto the Brawler's location, trying to dismount them early on, and the Evil big fellas, they start to roll on in, one down for one, but they have backup to go, and that will be Phoenix falling as well. Evil big fellas, they do take some damage, but all are going back and forth.
It's only Rain there, and so Rain will do his best to try and get some kills and confirm them, but the main fight that we want to focus on here is the Brawlers and the Evil big fellas as they both fight for this premier location. Rain, in fact, getting eliminated as we speak, so we now know that that's gone on here. See the Brawlers have a high position. Frost onto Evil Sharko.
Oh,
and now they're spraying down. The Brawlers have just found the angles so beautiful onto the Evil big fellas. And
Evil Sharko,
only one member
HP.
left. They're all wiped. The Brawlers able to own the Beta Island here very successfully due to this flank play coming through from Frost.
Beautiful location play, rotations, as you said. They backed out. They gave over that one kill, and with it, they got 4 in return. Evil big fellas eliminated out in 15th place.
Very hard for them. Of course, they would have wanted to have a stronger performance here. They've not had the best of a semi-final so far in week 1, but they made the early rotation, and it's a smart one, John, to try and get the high ground here on the main island. Here we get the phase 2 shift, and you can see Team India and SKUL rotating from the east, but there's a lot of teams clumped up in the south here. Orb, ZFX Evolution, Learn from Past, and Soul, all trying to make their crosses onto the main island. HYDRA already here. ISO in the top should be getting there quickly as well.
Soul making that move early, very, very smart. They're going to be swimming across. They should be able to take the compound that's just across the river from them, and they should have a shout into this next circle. Of course, we saw the circle close a little bit further on the northwest island, all but confirming that it will be a shift. Everyone's going to have to go for these crosses. GODL, I believe they took a knock earlier. Not too sure if they lost a player, but you can only see 3 on your screens at the moment, so they might have lost 1 so far. ZFX, they've rotated around. I believe this is towards the northern end of the island.
South. This is on the south side of the island. They're going to be trying to take the southwest side, which is currently not occupied, so that works quite well for them. Coming soon in that location that ISO just was, but we did see ISO crash into HYDRA. Yeah, the cherry blossom trees littered around. Go find them in your PUBG mobile games. Why not? Have a picnic.
Have a little bit of a sing-song.
If you can't get a chicken dinner, then you can have a picnic, John.
Absolutely,
that's
yeah.
why. That's how I play PUBG Mobile. Can't get the chicken dinner, but I can find the cherry blossom trees and have a nice picnic and then die later.
Oh yeah, that's that sounds like well, more fun than you make it sound like more fun than it is.
I've sold it, have I?
Yeah,
you're
absolutely.
Join me
on
on
board.
my next picnic.
Absolutely, absolutely. You bring the sandwiches.
I will. Orb making the rotation onto the Beta Island now. You can see MegaStars going to have to make the swim very shortly as well from the north side. I think it's ISO who's rotated from a very southerly location all the way up to the north and then onto the north side of the Beta Island. I love those rotations because they are strategically safer if you can get all the way down or up the river, I should say, to the north. And now what they can do is cross over to the north and hold it against the people who want to rotate from there. We're looking at GODL and MegaStars who are crashing into each other early. Somehow Devils, no, he gets knocked eventually. This is such a good location for MegaStar. Yeah, there's just nothing that GODL can do here. Hash loses his life. They're going to confirm Devil as well.
On the hill as well.
There's Hash going down. Man, nothing they can do. And like you mentioned, Pain are behind them. Now, Pain could, if they want to, third-party this. But I think if I'm Pain Esports, I just cross it now and avoid this choke point that would be GODL MegaStars trying to cross over to the new island.
Well, MegaStars are pretty much confirmed to just be safe here. There's no way that Assassin should be able to find any shots, even with the QBU, even with the range he's got on board. It's just going to be so difficult for him to find anything. And that's his team pretty much decimated. And yet again, GODL fail to come up smelling of roses. They are going to be stuck down towards the bottom ends of those tables.
They're just not able to get out of this one, John. It's been a real shame for them, the semi-finals, and they're going to have to go back to the drawing board for sure and figure what is going wrong here in week 1. Still plenty of time to make those adaptations. I mean, TeamINSIDIOUS in day 1 got 113 points, and if you're able to get 113 points in one day, then you can pretty much escape elimination.
Well, I mean,
through
we
that
saw it.
one performance alone.
Yeah, we
so
saw it from Team Insidious, right?
That's
Like they're doing it. That's Assassin going down. They're at 14th place. Not too many points on board. I believe that's 2 points you get for coming out in 14th. So they won't be too happy with that one. Now the players starting to have crossed and starting to take these positions. You can see MegaStars looking to start to make that rotation on that northeast side, and they have control of it. Of course, we did see PAIN eSports moving in from that direction as well.
SKUL have made it onto the island. They're just south of the Brawlers, and you can see that Learn from Past and Team India are getting involved in a fight. Learn from Past have the best location, though, even though they've lost swag early. But if SKUL can third-party this Ronak setting it up with the Kar 98, then this is going to, 1, allow Team India to cross on over, but 2, give Team SKUL a lot of chances to make it. ISO, we already praised their rotation really early up to the north, and now they can catch PAIN trying to rotate into the circle. And I just don't see how PAIN get in successfully, because if ISO want to take the fights, they can spray down PAIN whilst they're in the water. There's very little positions where PAIN will actually get a chance to fire on. And here's Aladdin trying to find that overview onto Anko, onto Cold Blood.
They're just trying to chill it out. Team India do take a knock, but they did confirm one of the players over that bridge as well. Hotly contested.
Oh, no.
Aladdin getting shot from afar.
Yeah, from across the way here.
Nicely done. That's who was that? Was that Orb? No, it's just one of the team members of PAIN eSports. They laid one back and allowed a little bit of cover.
Team India are in a bit of trouble here, and we already said it, that Learn from Past can hold them off. Due to the fact that Team India lands so southernly east, it usually works when the circle lands on the main island, but when we move into those other islands, it's just very difficult for them to actually make rotations, and they're getting caught out here. They're going to have to really consider a new rotation, because I don't think it's going to work going through Learn from Past, and what we know is that Team SKUL are above Learn from Past as well, which just means that once you do get past them, then you've got another battle to go for. And right now, SKUL are helping out Team India by taking fights with Learn from Past, and if
another one.
That was nice. If Team India are watching the kill feed, which any good in-game leader does in PUBG, they'll go, oh, we're fighting Learn from Past, SKUL are fighting them. Now we actually have a chance to cross over into the main island whilst this fight is outgoing, and so that's what Team India are going to try and execute on as quickly as possible.
But that's the difficulty, though, because, of course, you're running straight into the sightlines of where SKUL have just taken them all down. So you do need to try and figure something else out in terms of where you can hold. Coming soon, one of those teams we're keeping an eye on, keeping track of course. They have their compound. They made that early rotation. They got control of it. So nicely done by them to maintain a little bit more pressure and a little bit more strength. And is that care package on top of them, or is that just the shadow from quite far away?
Just the shadow from quite far away.
Okay.
We'd be able to see it on the mini-map if it was directly on them. Of course, there is a massive hill providing a lot of shadow cover here to coming soon. Like we've mentioned, we've highlighted coming soon for a weak performance to begin with. Now they're going to have to put up some stops. Dark going to pick up the M249 and the level 3 vest, helmet, and backpack. Well, I assume he picks up the M249. Who wouldn't? Lovely piece of weaponry. Looks like Dark, though, is in a bit of trouble, because whilst the Brawlers wanted to own the hill, HYDRA have crept out from the north. Unsuspected, though, the Brawlers, and it's all too late. Now they know of each other's locations, but HYDRA have the locational advantage, and so that's something the Brawlers are constantly going to be worrying about, is the fact that they have a team above them.
Yeah, Team India, they've been spotted out now by SKUL on the hillside. And they're going to be taking a lot of damage, but not a knock coming out. Scout just able to claw on for now, and they return some fire. They're starting to put that pressure back down for Team India. But look at this flank. You've got SKUL moving on in, and if they don't take the fight on multiple fronts, they might come up a little bit lacking.
I'm surprised this fight's happening now, but it makes sense that SKUL and India would crash. Figured it would happen earlier due to how close they landed with each other. India has the compound, which works for them for now, as long as they can hold out against SKUL from up the hill. A lot of angles you have to consider here when there's such a height disparity.
This is the thing, though. On Sanhok, compound breaches aren't quite the same. They're very, very differently laid out. There's a lot more things you need to take into account, and you don't get a lot of height advantage for taking the buildings. So it's just essentially different pieces of cover and playing around it like that. So it is a different meta.
All right, here we go. Camp Alpha, sorry. Man, I've just done a big old smooth brain John on this commentary, but we'll rectify it. It is going to be the circle hard shifting to the west, and all the teams starting to rotate who can. ZFX have the compound. HYDRA going to have to worry a little bit about Brawlers because everyone's coming off the hill. What they don't know is ISO is creeping up behind them, and they've got MegaStars right up, tucked into the northeast, who will also come there as well. I think Team India and SKUL are going to have the hardest rotation into the circle due to the fact that they have to deal with each other constantly fighting, but there's lots of people up the hill who are going to provide some trouble. But yeah, people like Pain and Maximus Alpha here, very difficult for them to go in because of the fact that there's so many teams that have overview, and it looks like Pain may just be losing lives here. They do knock Satan. Nice stuff from Nick, the double peek, as Anko tries to get some heals off. Coldblood is going to get a knock as well. So actually, I thought this was a bad position, but it looks like Pain are going to execute. King going to have to spray on down and get some knocks. There's Nick going down. Going to be some more as they wrap around the hill. Great stuff coming through from King. Gets a second. Can he turn around and find some more? Ring around the rosy. Coldblood gets the spray down and will eliminate Maximus Alpha in 13th.
But the blue zone is going to start to close on down. They might be able to get up Nick, but they don't get Nick either. They are going to start to heal on up. Coldblood really risking a lot here. This is obviously still zone 4. They can out-heal it, but they have a long way to go, and that blue is going to outrun them. They're going to have to chug all of their meds and try and stay up. And you can see Nick, they've completely left him alone there. There's no way he's going to be getting out of this one.
We might actually
no, look, he's dropping his meds.
Oh, he is dropping his med. That's a med kit going down. He goes, go on without me, brothers. Get the points that we need. Team India have crashed into Team Seoul here.
They've got Learn from Past as well on the flank.
Coming soon. That's coming soon above them, actually.
Oh, wow. There's a lot of teams around on this hillside then.
Yeah.
They are all starting to close it down. You can see there's Nick going down, but that was to be expected. That rotation does get spotted out, and Akno gets flushed out as well. Now everybody competing for this southwestern hillside in the circle on this first island, just a little bit south of Camp Alpha.
Is that Seoul out, or is that just Viper being confirmed? I think it might just be Viper confirmed. We can see that Pain are basically in a very difficult position where MegaStars will hold the circle moving on in here. Yeah, they're losing a couple members to the zone, but
down.
Oh, wow, actually, maybe they lose a lot of members to the zone. It might just be one member left, Khan, to try and hold out against Pain as they rotate in. I thought this was going to be bad for Pain, but it looks like they might actually have the advantage in here due to the fact they did so much damage, and the stims weren't quite there for MegaStars. So many teams clustered on this eastern flank. SKUL, Learn from Past, Seoul, Team India, and coming soon have the height advantage. Brawlers finally crashing into HYDRA here. You can see Team India spraying down Oasis, trying to get the knock there, but won't be able to get it. Learn from Past, trickiest position being on the most southernly side and no height advantage. And Snacks is trying to figure out if he wants to fight SKUL here or if he wants to choke shots onto India. Once more, we're shifting all the way to the west, and it's going to be Orb and ZFX very happily safe in the middle of the circle, whilst pretty much every other team has to rotate from the east.
ZFX have had a really good time of it at the moment. They haven't really clashed with anyone. They made a safe rotation over on that western side, and they're now in the zone time and time again. Everybody else is getting pummeled from left, from right, from above, from underneath, and they're losing armor. They're losing meds, and they are just getting soaked away into the battle. So ZFX, they're going to have a compound. They're going to have some strength, but they are on the edge of the circle, and the next one is going to force them away from that position.
Certainly will. Bloodbath in phase 5 is SKUL trying to pop shots up towards Team India, try and find some knocks for themselves. Looks like coming sooner trying to push onto Orb, and that's not going to be very successful due to the fact that Orb have the circle for now. The circle going to be pushing everyone from the east into the western. There's like 6 squads all like tied up on this eastern flank. You can't imagine many of them are going to survive here. Team India get knocks, trading onto SKUL here. It looks like it's just Y to fight it out for SKUL, as the rest of the team going to be down. Daljit trying to heal on up. Is he the solo member now for Team India? Assuming that Scout will just be left to bleed out due to the zone. Yeah, he's trying to hold out. Just bandages though. He needs a first aid kit. And he doesn't have them, just 3 bandages, so he's going to go down to the zone. I don't think he can get out.
He's got a bandage, yeah.
No, it's not going to be in time.
He's got nothing. He's got an adrenaline shot, but he's not going to be able to get it. MegaStars Khan trying to outrun the blue. Will the final tick hit him? Oh, it's nipping at his heels. He has to he has to still make this push, and Orb is in his way. Oh no! He starts the heal. Is he going to be able to get enough?
Nope.
There's not the tick going to go, and that is going to be them going down. That was a huge drop of teams on that push.
4 teams remain.
What happened? I looked over. It was 8.
It was 8. 4 just died because of the eastern flank. And look at how still flanked up they are. Coming soon and Orb right next to each other, and coming soon get eliminated here. Only 3 teams remain. This is the fastest game we've ever had in the Indian region.
We're in zone 6.
ZFX Evolution have the circle constantly being gifted to them, and at the moment Orb with a 4-man advantage may be able to push around and contest ZFX, but they still have Encore on the southern flank to deal with, currently snaking his way towards the circle.
I don't know what happened on that on the push from the east.
Sanhok. It's just Sanhok.
Everybody just crashed together, and nobody did well. Nobody at all was there. It's only Orb and ZFX, the two teams that were in there anyway, and Learn from Past have somehow, some way, gotten a position.
Let's slow it down for just a second, John, and figure out how this one's going to happen, because ZFX Evolution have the circle. We're going to have our snake cam in the bottom right to keep tabs of what Encore can do as a solo player for Learn from Past.
That's Snacks.
Oh, Snacks,
Yep.
You are right. Piano Guy does take a lot of damage here. The good thing for Orb is that they have height advantage. With the suppressor, I think that Snacks can... No, never mind.
Okay.
I really don't like these plays, John.
No.
I'm
He's got
totally
third,
against
to be
them.
fair. He's got third already.
For sure.
That's fine.
But we sometimes see teams do this when it's like 14 team remain.
Yeah.
And I think you're better to just snake your way and really try and be a sneaky. But at least we've got the top two teams now. And unfortunately for Orb, they do have to rotate off their hill. And they've got Viru with a nice little flank play, overlook play from the top of the hill here, which is going to be such a pain for Orb to deal with. I don't see how Orb survive.
No, I don't think they do. I think this might just be it from up on high. Orb Gaming getting pelted down by ZFX. Only two remain really in a position where they can stay alive. Gatak not going to be able to get away from this. You can see there's the Car 98. Going to be dinking a shot on. Not going to be able to finish it off, but there's so much damage being layered down over to these two remaining Orb players.
Yeah, so Gatak is going to be eliminated and flushed out very shortly. That's huge for Orb. They've just confirmed Viru on the scout position from the top of the hill.
That could turn the tides.
That could 100% turn the tides in this fight. The circle's still shifting over towards ZFX Evolution. So lucky with the circles this game. You have to say it. It is a little bit of luck coming through, considering how many teams got pushed from the east. ZFX, though, they didn't land on this island.
Yeah.
And so you call it luck, but they were one of the first teams to rotate, and they took a side of the
really
island
nice.
that was going to happen. I don't think it spreads. Oh, it does just a little bit onto Orb RNG Gaming. But ZFX, I want to praise their rotation, because a lot of people are going to be calling lucky ZFX right now. But they were the only team that decided to rotate early to this western side of the island, and it's paid off.
But there goes the blue. It's going to crush them out, and they're going to see if they can get some frags. And actually, King able to get the knock, but
way too late for this.
Not going to be able to get it done. The blue's going to knock them down, and that is going to be it. ZFX with a smart rotation finish us with the quickest game we've seen so far in the Indian region over on Sanhok. Orb, the orchestrators of a bloodbath from that push from the east, and making sure that nobody could stand up to their might. The firing squad was there. They were live and kicking, and you can see that in the end, however, they weren't able to make the push themselves, and they got a taste of their own medicine. ZFX able to clinch it.
I mean, the differences between 4th and 7th are negligible here in this game. I can't get words out. But
Do you want to try that one again?
I'm not going to.
Negligible.
Yep. Because of the fact that the circle kept hard shifting to the west, and all the teams landing on the main island had to cross over, and so they were obviously on the east. They were never able to get into a position. This is why pros hate Sanhok.
Yeah.
Basically, this game is the example A, exhibit A of why pros hate Sanhok.
Yeah, for sure.
Have to praise, though, ZFX, very smart rotation early on by going onto the southern island and then moving up north to the western side, and then just holding on the west, where they can pretty much guarantee there's going to be 0 teams. What they had was the ability to, if the circle shifted, as all teams were hoping, onto the eastern side of the island, then they will have a safer rotation on to that island. However, if the circle keeps gifting itself to them, then they're just in the best position. It's like a win-win for ZFX Evolution, and so whoever made that decision in the moment pretty much won them the game.
We'll have to see just what happened on that push, because I really want to figure out exactly what happened on when all of those teams dropped around circle, what was it, 3, 4 even? No, more like 5.
Phase 5, yeah.
Phase 5, it was where they all dropped.
Phase 6 closed.
Goodness me, no rest for the wicked over on Sanhok, it seems.
It's coming up now, where all these teams on the eastern flank, there was about 6 of them just clumped up on this eastern flank, all trying to outrun the blue and popping shots at each other as they did it. Very difficult for any of these teams to keep up with the action. It was difficult for us to keep up with the action.
Even in the gap
impossible.
between those highlights, 5 teams just dropped.
Yeah. It was so instantaneous. There was no way that these teams could keep up with each other. There was no way we could keep up with the action. ZFX Evolution were just laughing the whole time.
Goodness me. I'm going to have to ask some of the players afterwards what happened there. And I wouldn't be surprised if even they weren't too sure.
I mean, we know what happened. The circle was just not nice. The circle bullied the lobby, and it just said, right, well, everyone lands on the main island.
Give us your lunch money.
Yeah, basically. And it was
Or your chicken dinner money.
The real big issue for a lot of these teams was that they just didn't expect it to keep hard shifting to the west. They really committed to a central island play. And that makes sense because on the Alpha Island, you do have that large hill that overlooks. HYDRA was fighting for it. ISO was fighting for it. The Brawlers were fighting for it. And then all the other teams were just basically sandwiched together between Water and Seoul with a massive overlook on about 4 teams towards the end. And it meant that they were able to basically hold people in bad positions. And so that's why you have to praise ZFX Evolution for their early game rotation to a much quieter part of the island, due to the fact that if the circle did decide to shift towards the eastern side of Alpha Island, then they would have had probably the safest rotation out of anyone to get on into there. But if the circle did shift to the west, they constantly had the best position to get to a compound, and that's exactly what they did throughout the game. Yeah,
it was nicely done, nicely executed. Some low-skilled totals coming out near the top. Orb actually posting quite a few. I think they had around 8 or 9 in the end. So quite nicely distributed, and I think that is going to be spread across the entire lobby to see what comes out of that. I'll be interested to see what happens with the scoreboard as well off the back of it. But here's the side-by-side. Orb and MegaStars are 2 high fraggers in the lobby. 8 and 7 kills, respectively.
Yep, as you said, Orb, really big performance as far as points were concerned, getting 30 points with their 8 kills as well, which is only, I think, 4 behind what ZFX Evolution posts by taking the chicken dinner. So a really big performance by Orb here, something they needed to set themselves apart here in the semi-finals. And once more, MegaStars showcasing that they're a pretty solid team overall. The former Floor Official, for anyone who's wondering who the MegaStars are, previously known as Floor Official, doing some good stuff so far on week 1 of the semi-finals, but they're going to have to continue doing it. We know that Sanhok is it's just chaos. It's the chaotic map. Very difficult to call it. You can basically talk about rotations and drop locations, but the circle very heavily influences practically every element of a Sanhok game. And it's not what I like to refer to when we think about competitive PUBG, because I don't think that an in-game leader can consistently and confidently make the right decision every game when it comes to Sanhok. But when you think about maps they can do it, it's Erangel. And we're going to be going to Erangel very shortly. And so I like that we see a bit of Vikendi, because Vikendi does allow for a lot of rotational game. Sanhok, it just showcases the chaos of competitive PUBG.
Absolutely.
But then we get to get a double dose of Erangel, where all of these teams know their strategies, their drop locations are very consistent, and we can start to really showcase some high-level play here in the PUBG Mobile Club Open.
Well, if you want some high-level play for yourselves, you can head over and check out Vivo, the official smartphone of the PUBG Mobile Club Open. And with that kit, of course, you'll be set up to do great things.
Yeah, I saw a tweet from them today. They said, all competition is equal unless you got yourself a Vivo, and then you're above the best. So, I mean, there you go. That's what they...
Just makes you better.
That's what they're putting out here. If you want to see some more stuff from the PUBG Mobile Club Open, head on over to our website. That's clubopen.pubgmobile.com. All the standings for the Indian region, groups and rosters, as well as the other 6 regions that we're covering here. South America, North America, Europe, the Middle East region, as well as the wildcard region. If you want to go check out the competition here globally in the PUBG Mobile Club Open.
And if you want to check out the replays, see just what happened, try and dissect
how
that
to win
bloody
Sanhok.
push from the east. How to win Sanhok. Just don't fight, forehead. That's how you do it.
Evolution.
But if you want to check out the replays, do a little bit of research on some of these teams, or if you are one of those teams, you want to head over and check out the VODs, you can head over to the YouTube channel, PUBG Mobile eSports, and you can check all of the action from all of the regions there.
In so many different languages as well. We're covering everything as much as possible, making sure it's as inclusive as we really round up the competition here in the PUBG Mobile Club Open.
Yeah, of course. We are going to round out this part of this broadcast, but when we come back, we'll be going over onto Erangel. And with it, maybe a little bit less chaos, a little bit more...
A little less Sanhok.
You know, we're back to sanity. We'll see if we are able to restore some gravity. But we'll be going over to that after the break, so make sure you don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this.
Vivo.
Zombie, Darkest Night. The newest mode in the zombie universe is here. This time, the rules are different. No more parachuting, as players will be placed at random locations on the map when the match begins, and there is no single winner. Players must work with their teammates to spend one long night in the match and stay alive until the sun comes up. Waves and waves of zombies will spawn during each of the 3 foggy periods at night, and supplies should only be scavenged when the fog fades. The main objective is not to defeat other players, though this doesn't mean they are harmless. Players may need to work with other teams when necessary, but should also watch their backs in case the Fragile Alliance goes south. This will be a unique experience for every player involved. This new mode also comes with a passive skill for every player. Understanding these skills will be the key to staying alive in this long night. Can you ride out the night?
Play PUBG Mobile for free.
Welcome back to the PUBG Mobile Club Open 2019. My name is John Allen. With me is Dowsey. We had a crazy blue zone winning the game over on Sanhok.
Basically.
Pretty much, yeah. And now we're going to be heading over to a little bit more. We're gonna chill it out a little bit. We're going to be super loosey-goosey and ready to just go with the flow over on Erangel, where everyone's a lot more comfortable.
I mean, it's definitely not go with the flow, but it's certainly... We're going with the flow?
Yeah, I'm going with the flow.
You just...
Yeah. I'm having a flowy time.
You're having a flowy time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell you who's having a flowy time, John, so far.
Yeah?
The Brawlers and ISO are showcasing that they can play with the top dogs on all of the matches that we've been playing on Miramar, on Vikendi, on Sanhok, and even on the Erangel matches. But we'll have to see if they can keep up their performance, because right now, if the Brawlers keep up what they're doing today, they're going to be at the top of the semifinals when we get to match 12. Very shortly.
Yeah, of course. At the end of the day, everyone will have played 8 matches, so they will be at a very easily comparable standpoint. Obviously, at the moment, it's a little bit difficult with the disparity between some teams playing 6, some teams playing 8. But if we look at the map averages, at the moment, Insidious are sat on 19.5. Brawlers are sat on 20. So they are only just a little bit ahead, but if they do keep it up, as you said, they will be sat atop these group stages with a 240-point record if they're able to get there.
We'll get the standings up on the screen so everyone can crunch the numbers at home and really see what we're talking about when it comes to the statistics that these teams are outputting.
If you do want to crunch the numbers at home, though, you can head over to the website, of course, clubopen.pubgmobile.com.
You just love doing call-outs, don't you? You just live for the information.
I've been able to do that one in
John.
a while. You know, I was missing it. What can I say?
I stole it from you.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are heading on to Erangel next, John. And when I think Erangel, I think Team India, who are very massive star power in the Indian region. Team India statistically are the second best team, I believe, across the tournament on Erangel. However, we didn't see that at all yesterday from them. Yesterday, they went out in about 14th position in Game 1, and I think it was around maybe 9th position in Game 2.
Yeah.
Nowhere close to the performances that works for them. What Team India do constantly and land in the military base, and they're practically uncontested by most of the teams who would want to go there. And so that works well for them to get loot, armor, and utility. But then the issue with a military drop is that you are then subject to the zone. If the zone shifts north or even into the center, then teams will get position above you very quickly. And that potentially is hurting Team India heavily in these games. So I want to see if they decide to shift up their drop location at all. And if they don't, what they're doing to change their rotational game. Because, I mean, drop locations are important, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to what your in-game leader is outputting as far as rotation and compounds and circle prediction as well. And I know, speaking to Kratos, they want to be the best team in India as far as figuring out the algorithm that goes along with the circle.
For sure.
And it's a little bit different from your pub games in PUBG Mobile, when you just queue up with your friends or with your club or with your clan, whatever it may be. Because we have different competitive settings for the game, they then have to learn those competitive settings and learn what the circle wants to do based on its sizes and its frequency. And so it's a real challenge, but I want to praise teams that are willing to go out there and try and figure out this stuff, because it sets them apart in the competition, because they're constantly being able to make better decisions. And so we're seeing that from the Brawlers so far. Today, at least. We saw it from GodsReign yesterday and over the day 1 as well of the semifinals. And it's something that Team India have basically said, this is what we want to be doing. So do it. Let's see it on your best map of Erangel.
Yeah, for sure. They are going to be probably dropping military, as you say, probably looking to make those rotations, and they're probably going to be able to do it. The issue is, as you said, with the circle, if it moves north, if it even moves not even that much north, but up even a little bit, just onto the main island anywhere, they do have to make those rotations. The issue with that is you're going to be playing edge of zone more often than not. And when you're fighting through that many teams, you might have military loot, you might have military meds on board, but you're going to be chunking away at those. You're going to be losing armor as you go. You're going to be losing those first aid kits, those med kits that you've got on board from your early loot drop. And doing it like that, you kind of even the playing field a little bit across the board. The question is, are they going to be able to avoid fights on those rotations? Are they going to be able to try and hold on to that strength that they've got from the loot that they've managed to acquire so early?
In Group A, there's a team called 8-Bit that everyone is very familiar with. And if you've been following the tournament so far, 8-Bit are the kings of Pachinki, constantly landing Pachinki and owning it. There's been 2 teams that have constantly tested them in Pachinki. Over time, it's coming soon. who's attempted to do it, and it's learned from past who have attempted to do it. But 8-Bit tend to get the better position due to where they learned and hold out Pachinki. It's going to be really interesting. 8-Bit aren't in the lobby this game. So coming soon, potentially we'll get Pachinki to themselves. Maybe learn from past will contest them. We'll have to watch the flight plan. We are getting in our ears that the match is a little bit delayed, but we'll get there very shortly. HYDRA as well, finally getting to see them again on Erangel. Constantly landing down to the southwest side of Erangel and splitting up as well along those compounds just north of Primorsk and Ferry Pierce. So we'll have to see if they change their flight plan, because sometimes depending on which side of the island the flight goes down, teams drastically shift their landings, and that can sometimes hurt them, especially because they won't have as much experience rotating into all the different circles that could come out.
Obviously, the strength that 8-Bit and teams that want to take Pachinki from them achieve is that Pachinki is a very, very central location in Erangel. And so
comparing PUBG Mobile to PC PUBG, currently Team Liquid, one of the best teams in Europe, constantly letting Pachinki, and the reason they do so is because it's the anchor of the map. If they need to go to Sovnovska military base because if it's a military circle, they can be one of the first teams to rotate that. If they need to go to the Potato Hill or the Pachinki Hills, then they can go there as well.
We are going to be heading over, though, onto our first map. It's dead center. This is a very kind plane for anyone who wants to go anywhere. They can really, really spread out. Milta's available. Overall towards Quarry, and Primorsk is available, and the military island is there as well for everybody. So I'm expecting quite a diverse set of drops coming out here, Dalsy.
ISO will be wanting to make their way over to Milta, and we'll probably see them jumping out of the plane there very shortly. Looks like the MegaStars once more going for Zaki, which is a very common drop for them, and it's worked well due to the fact that it's uncontested, but it does provide one of the most difficult rotations into the new circle. Watch out for that. Learn from past actually going to Severny here or the shooting range, or maybe they're dropping Zaki as well. We'll have to find out, but a bit of an adaptation from them. The Brawlers, of course, going to be taking Rozhok as always. Where's Soul landing in here? Normally they've been going to the shipping containers of Georgopol, and it looks like they are going to be going there again. Good for them. Evil, big fellas, love a bit of Milta as well. So now we're seeing about a couple of teams that potentially are contesting each other a little bit here. If the Evil big fellas want to land at Milta Power or Mini Milta, then ISO potentially will be contested. But I don't actually see ISO on the flight prop here. So I'm not exactly sure where they're going right now, John.
The Brawlers, who are our top performing team in the tournament at the moment, they've dropped down onto Rozhok. Pachinki still a little bit undefined. Very central circle. We had it on Vikendi.
This is the most central circle where we've had on Erangel.
This is the most central plane, very central on Erangel. It's very, very simple for a lot of these teams to make this. So this is going to mean that it's going to be very difficult. Look at where SKUL are, though. They actually are going a little bit wide and out to Primorsk. So HYDRA have a little bit of a threat from that southern side. But who's this? A new entry into the fight over on Military Island.
Yeah, it's ISO and PixL Spades now contesting. It looks like ISO are changing their plans here by, instead of going Milta, because they know Evil Big Fellas want Milta Power, they're trying to get onto Novo shipping containers instead. The only question is, will PixL Spades provide a thorn in their side here to stop that? Like you mentioned, Team India once more in the military base like always, but this time quite a few teams there. HYDRA have spread out as always along that western coast, but this time SKUL will be in Primorsk, trying to get vehicles. Primorsk, one of the worst locations for vehicle spawns on Erangel, and teams know this, so depending on where HYDRA spread out, maybe they steal one of those vehicles away from SKUL and make rotations difficult for them in the late game. The Brawlers have been consistently uncontested in Rozhok, and it's allowed them to basically own the center of the circle time and time again.
Nicely done by them. Obviously, on the southern peninsula of Erangel, you've got SKUL just holding out. HYDRA looting up the coast. They should get plenty on board. Everybody pretty spread out. You see Pachinki has been claimed by coming soon.
Yeah, they don't have 8-Bit here to basically scare them away. And
exactly.
So this is one of the reasons I think they've been underperforming on Erangel, at least, John, is the fact that they have had to give up their favorite drop location to 8-Bit, who have just got a better Pachinki set plan, I guess, than coming soon. But now coming soon uncontested in that drop location, and so they're going to get all the loot in Pachinki and be able to execute their Erangel strategies that they want to, which could be crucial to their success. GODL making their way in towards Milta here. Is Evil Big Fellas up in Milta Power, or Mini Milta, which is the power station just underneath the reactor? Not entirely sure, but you can assume that they're there. And usually we see multiple teams actually in Milta Town, and then fights break out from that. ZFX Evolution, one of the teams that will drop there every now and again if they think the flight plan works for them. They haven't done today.
A little bit of love taps going on in Yasnaya Poliana. Orb. Just taking a couple of pot shots over at Pain eSports, but there's plenty of cover, there's plenty of vehicles for both of these teams to be able to just razz it out there. You can see there's the red Darcia over on the south side for Pain. Orb, there's plenty of vehicles going to be spawning up there as well for them. So if they want to go for the push, they might try and operate it, but for now, they're just going to chill.
A lot of teams that like to drop in the Georgia Port area aren't in the lobby as well. I didn't quite get an complete overview of the plane path, but you don't have Insidious here or Pain Retribution to contest that, which may allow for Team Soul to then move into South George and get all the loot they want from that and really come out swinging. MegaStars all the way up in Zaki, like we mentioned, and ISO have changed their drop location once more, down in Novo shipping containers.
Yeah, they weren't willing to contest with PixL Spades for too much longer. Obviously, Team India still happy to loot up on the main C block, which is where we see them time and time again. Let's see how they make their rotation as well, because they have different teams to contend with. They don't have SWAT official, who are making a lot of pressure that normally on those rotations, although they have split up in the past, they have gone for a little bit of a strange set of movements and have been making it work a little bit less well than maybe they could in terms of maybe going for a bridge guard over on Team India, but it seems that no one really wants to get into these early fights anyway, so potentially they're not even looking to do that in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, PixL Spades have actually just left their military base island really quickly. You can see ZFX Evolution here, instead of landing over towards Milta like they would normally, they're at Shelter, which is quite close, I suppose. Very difficult location to get all of the loot from. There's not as much available, but there's a lot of compounds in there. And so what you're sacrificing in many loot spawns, you're gaining in rotations to strong locations. If you need to get onto Pachinki Hills, you can, which is very useful for a lot of these teams. Sometimes all you need is a gun, level 1 armor, and a couple of nades, some meds, and you can basically own a circle.
No, I think you're wrong on that one, I'm afraid.
Oh, yeah?
All you need is love.
A pan.
All you need is love.
A pan.
Love is what you need.
A pan is what you need, John.
No, okay. Is a pan pan
pan
love?
is love. Yes.
Pan is love. Okay.
Yes.
Pan is love. Pan is life. Pan is what you need to get that.
We haven't had a pan kill yet, which I mean, as if we're going to. But the team that gives a pan kill, basically, is the team that I will cheer for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I'll be the most biased commentator in the world for that team if they get a pan kill.
Okay.
And it's not in the early game. It has to be after phase 1.
It has to be a chicken dinner pan kill.
No. It just has to be.
No, it has to be a chicken dinner pan
Just
kill.
has to be.
No, it has to be a chicken dinner pan kill.
There you go. Terms and conditions apply. Here's the Evil Big Fellas in Milta Power, like we mentioned, and they're going to have a fairly safe rotation away from Milta Power, which is good for them. Evil Big Fellas, very happy to stay in the blue and tank that up and use their meds earlier if they want to, so that's not an issue for them. And basically a very clean early game where not many teams contesting locations. It's only really Yasnaya that has a bit of fight to it. And realistically, those teams will just separate and go their separate ways when they need to. It's pretty clean stuff. Now, like we mentioned from yesterday, Team India not having very safe rotations from Military Island. This time it looks like they are going to be able to catch out PixL Spades, who are trying to set up a one-man bridge camp.
Yeah, not going to go their way. Scout starting to razz it on down. You can see they've got plenty of vehicles. They're split up. This is good practice. We like to see it, and we aren't seeing it from everyone. They do get the confirm there. They do get the flush, but this is good practice. Split up. Take multiple vehicles. You're so much less exposed to something like a single nade just blowing you all up, or one of your teammates rolling all of you off a cliff. That could be, you know, something that could throw a spanner in the works. So, you know, the less chance of that happening, the better, I guess. But yeah, you could get sprayed down. There's so much that can go wrong if you stick in a single vehicle. So
we saw this from India yesterday. Yeah. Their ability to cross the bridge on Military Base Island is very well organized and structured. The way that they basically bunny hop each other to set up different outposts to cover the other vehicles that want to cross over. They're very well coordinated with this. And whilst so far we haven't seen it be necessary because teams haven't been doing it, there we see it. Just a single member from from PixL Spades, HB, trying his best to basically catch out Team India on the rotation, but Team India just too coordinated with their move. We'll have to see if ISO do something similar or they just gun it straight over. But phase 1 closing in, very central teams right now. When you look at ZFX Evolution, Learn from Past going to want to get onto the Potato Hill. That's their usual location once they get out, but HYDRA here instead. Spatter in the works for Learn from Past, and it looks like they're just gunning it on. HYDRA have caught them out.
They're going to look for the spray down. Not going to be able to land anything on Snacks. A little bit of damage now, but Encore is there rattling off a couple of shots out the M4. The UAZ to try and make those rotations, and now this should be Learn from Past just backing out, not trying to assault into this position. They might throw a couple of nades in, but you can see the frags starting to come out from HYDRA, and there's no way that they want to take this fight. Not this early on. Learn from Past. They need to put up some good results. They need to stay consistent.
They've left Encore behind. His UAZ is that one right next to the tree that Dreger currently looking over towards. That means Encore will have to basically get out by himself. I think you just run early. He's running to the UAZ. I don't like this play at all because it puts him in a bad position, but it looks like HYDRA didn't have outlook on it, so he gets really lucky here and just about escapes the spray from HYDRA. You could say that was a bad play from Learn from Past to make that play specifically, but then HYDRA should have also had men watching that UAZ because that is the only way that that guy was getting out safely, or quickly, not safely, quickly.
Yeah.
So potentially a bit of miscommunication from HYDRA happening, but they get to own Pachinki Hills. They get to own the Potato Hill as well. So for now, they're going to be happy with that, and it's really interesting when you get these cross-group differences because we saw it from Learn from Past so consistently on their Erangel games that they want to own the Potato Hill. When HYDRA come into the lobby and basically contest it, where do Learn from Past go? What's plan B for them in this game?
Coming soon, though, they've had free loot all over Pachinki. They are going to be so kitted out, they'll be decked. No one contested them. They haven't had a single fight, but there might be a little bit of argy-bargy going on between the Brawlers and the MegaStars. 2 vehicles being taken for the Brawlers. They should be looking for more. And MegaStars, I think they're a little bit less fast on the uptake, but there they go. They are going to be splitting out. Everybody's starting to cotton on now. We've been drilling it into their minds just enough so far, Dowsey, and everybody's starting to get multiple vehicles on the cards.
Yeah, you obviously want to have multiple vehicles so that if something like this happens, you run into the Team India, then you can separate. Doesn't look like it's going to work out too well for Scout, who was basically being the scout for his team. The rest of India crash Kratos very close to the action, but just in a cross, Godkill will take him down, and now Team India have to back out of this. There's just no reason for them to be here on the Potato Hill. The difference, you could say, between Learn from Past and Team India was that Team Learn from Past were far more willing to just give up their position here and get out as quickly as possible. India instead crashed too many members onto the Potato Hill too quickly, did not have a single person scouting it out first, and they lose 2 members because of this, and that's back-to-back-to-back bad performances from Team India in the early game that could cost them dearly as far as their standings on the ladder is concerned.
Oh, that smoke, such a crucial timing there. Coming out Trance looking for the shots, but not quite able to get it done. Instead, they just top in the US. They're going to run away with their tail tucked between their legs. Not going to be happy about that one, and the rotation starts to come through. I think they might be heading towards another team, though.
They're going to be pushing towards Learn from Past, potentially. We'll have to see if they run straight on into them, because, I mean, where's your plan B? That's what all these teams need. Zone shifts back up north. The Brawlers have a very nice compound here, and there's so many teams to the south. ISO, Maximus Alpha, PixL Spades, all going to have to try and push on up through Pachinki Hills. Will HYDRA leave Pachinki Hills early, or are they going to hold it down is the question.
Ooh.
I call this East Rozhok. This compound, it's just east of Rozhok. That's why I call it that. It's a genius name. And we got double airdrops here.
I understand. That makes so much sense.
I know, right? Mark 14 in one of them. Not entirely sure what was in the other, but that's 2 sets of tier 3 armor.
Trance just got knocked again. This is Team India really not putting in the performance. They're one of the strongest Erangel performers, but they're just going down time and time again. They've lost their UAs now, and their ability to rotate severely diminished.
Yeah, it's even big fellas to find the knock. They will get them back up. Oh, wow. No way, Spike. From that range with a DP, how does he do it? Very, very low members here from Team India. I don't think big fellas should push. We see at the top of the hill. Once more on Potato Hill. You look on your minimap in the top right, it looks like a potato, John. That's what we call it that. And HYDRA just kings of it, but right now it looks like GODL might be actually putting up a fight.
They've taken 2 knocks, though. Philo is going to be able to get up, so that did take a little bit of time to get it done. Joker, pretty low. Dryja as well, behind there. Bishma is going to be picked on up, and we'll see what else they can do. HYDRA have a lot of players moving towards their location, and they have to try and make it work, but over towards SKUL in apartments here, just off out to the east. Of course, you've got MegaStars and Coming Soon having made that rotation away from Pochinki, and on the upper floors here of these puzzle piece apartments, it's going to be the MegaStars trying to hold out.
We saw a finish of this earlier on in the day, the group stages. The apartment finish is really interesting.
Joker's
Soul
popping off.
Yeah, Joker is popping off, and GODL will be eliminated in 15th position. Once more, Pochinki Hill being the central point for a lot of these teams. There's 4 teams that wanted to contest it now, but HYDRA were the first
Soul
there.
are coming in.
Soul are coming in. They're going to be on the southern side of this apartment compound. It looks like Viper. Is he already upstairs?
Yeah, he's managed to get himself up onto the roof there, I think.
So he's going to have overlook. You can see SKUL in a very small compound just east of them. Brawlers just a little bit north to the east at that 3 ways that heads over towards Yasnaya, between Rozhok and Yasnaya. The circle pushing all these teams in pain with a very large rotation from outside the circle. It's amazing that Mega are popping shots over to SKUL whilst they know that Coming Soon are downstairs, but I mean, might as well. As long as you've got the doorways covered, and they do, quite a few members in different locations on this left side of the apartment block, so that if Coming Soon did want to push on in, they would get met by multiple angles and there was no crossfire that would hurt MegaStars.
HYDRA still have control of the top of Potato Hill for now, and you can see those southern teams have thinned out. They've been funneled over to this eastern side, and this is where ZFX are going to be holding up. The team that was able to get their rotations in early last map seems like they're going to be slap bang in the middle again. They have control of a compound there, but there's a lot of people going to be looking at them with hunger in their eyes and thinking, okay, how are we going to get past this position? Apartments still in it, which means that all of those teams over there should be just okay, but that's not too strong as well, as Pain eSPORTS going to be taking heavy casualties over on the eastern flank.
Yeah, it's Orb here basically trying to push on into the circle, but Nick will go down. They've got Evil Big Fellas as well to try and take them out. Pain a little bit split because they've been outside of the circle for so long. All these compounds in the center of the map going to be so crucial. Brawlers have a really large one and easy to control. Soul, they're popping shots over at ZFX. How is that happening? ZFX are quite far away in the triple building compound as we hear some team comms. Oh, it looks like Soul pushed onto it, trying to breach onto the compound that ZFX have been in. Waste, can he get the kill onto King? No, doesn't look like he's going to be able to. And Soul are going to go down in 14th, attempting a breach unsuccessfully onto ZFX Evolution.
Not going to be able to get it done, unfortunately. A little bit overzealous. They moved into the zone. PixL Spades, they're looking to rotate up ISO as well, moving away from them. ISO, one of the top performing teams. We need to be aware of how strong they have been, because their presence in these games has been felt. Coming soon, looks like they might be going for it this time around.
Listen to the comms. Very fierce comms here as they discuss how they're going to breach on in.
HYDRA getting punished as well by Ninja, getting the spray down. They are preparing.
I think Coming Soon, the ones we're hearing here, and they're basically saying we need to go up and get rid of MegaStars. I don't speak Hindi, but the fierceness of their voice says that they need to clear out MegaStars before they make the rotation here.
This is really smart. Who got the knock there? That was MegaStars. Okay, they've got a little bit of an angle, but they get a knock in response as well. They're looking to go down. One has fallen so far for either squad. But at the moment, I believe the player who's gone down has just been able to isolate themselves. They are away.
I don't know why Coming Soon are committing to this. They've lost too many members in this fight. They just need to piece out. Very difficult rotation to get into the new circle here for Coming Soon. They are going to try and clear out MegaStars, who just have such a good crossfire set up. Here's the push, not successful, not coordinated with the team, and Final Boss will finish that one off. Coming Soon lose one member so far in this fight, and potentially going to lose the entire squad if they want to commit to this. They're going back down the staircase. They know they can't take MegaStars out of the apartment blocks, so instead they're going to go down, heal themselves, and just wait for MegaStars to come to them.
They didn't use any utility. They didn't throw in a nade, they didn't throw in a flashbang, they didn't try and distract it in any way, shape or form. But PixL Spades getting eliminated as well in the picture-in-picture. They are going to be able to be rolled on out. ISO taking that one down. You can see in the top left as well, Brawlers looking for another consistent performance. They're looking to try and put more points on the board.
Is HYDRA only down to Bishma here? Pits it between ISO and Learn From Past. Looks like Learn From Past losing holding out on Potato Hills worked out for them here. They've got the yellow houses to the north of Pachinki Hills.
I can't believe Coming Soon might still want to be going for this. I just don't think it's viable. You can see they are starting to just make their way out to start the exfiltration.
I mean, the issue is, where do you go? You need to exit the apartments very shortly. There's just no chance that the circle will shift to them, and it doesn't. It's going to be ZFX once more having circle. SKUL and that tiny compound going to have circle as well. Those are the two compounds in this circle. The rest of it is terrain. There's a really nice dip on the northeast that Maximus Alpha can make use of, potentially for them. The Brawlers, though, will they basically go for a breach? I think right now, teams are going to have to contest ZFX Evolution's compound, the triple building compound, for themselves earlier rather than later, because to push onto that's very difficult. You need to basically crash on into the broken walls as quickly as possible.
Look at this, Shadow. Shadow's managed to find just a tiny little ledge on the outside.
That's cheeky.
It's so cheeky. And he's going to be able to drop down, but they're stealing the vehicles. They're trying to get in. Oh dear, that's not good. He managed to crash into the fuel tanker. Orb not going for the spray down on the first cross as well, but there's Coming Soon getting punished.
Evil Big Fella's making the play towards this tiny little compound and ridge-lined over towards Volcano. We'll have to see if it works out for them. Pain's there, Maximus Alpha as well.
I think that's Coming Soon out.
Yeah, Coming Soon are out by the looks of it. SKUL maybe under fire from MegaStars here as they need to cross on over towards SKUL's compound. It's a very difficult compound to hold. Not much cover involved in it. MegaStars will make the pushes. Maximus Alpha get overview on Evil Big Fellas. Looks like King's gone down.
There's so little cover in this terrain at the moment that all of these frags are going to be starting to come on out. You can see ISO just blowing up their cars or taking down those wheels to try and get those reses off. Everybody trying to hold these positions down. You can see Evil Big Fellas across the way. Everybody's popping smokes. Maximus Alpha trying to find some of that respite. And MegaStars, they have to try and move forwards, but they have SKUL in their way as nades start to fly.
Whoa, that's great from Omega. Gets spiked down here. Maximus Alpha need to make a move sooner rather than later whilst this res has to be committed to. They want to have this low location by the ridgeline so they can contest ZFX Evolution later on into the game. Or may actually just be making the push onto ZFX Evolution here. We'll have to see. So many smokes going out, and they're going to try and push on into this compound here.
HYDRA's still alive. They still have a player left in it. MegaStars do make their push. One spray down goes well. The AK
the reload.
Always there, but he's going to get pushed on himself. They trade it back. Silverstone looking for more damage to go on in. Makes his way over into the shack, and now it's just a player from SKUL holding out against Megamind.
It looks like only Gutug left here for Orb. No, they actually have quite a few members up. Trying to breach by himself onto Demon King. The Uzi, though, close range. Demon King in a good position. Gutug, can he hit it? Double push comes through. Looking for it, but it's going to be ZFX holding on down in that single building there as Orb get eliminated in 11th place. And once more, ZFX Evolution hold on to their compound. 3 teams grouped up here. Coldblood is solo, whilst Maximus Alpha and Evil Big Fellas pop shots, but looks like ISO finally, now the smoke is dispersed, have got overview on Evil Big Fellas and are popping shots across the way. The circle has once more pushed on up. ZFX Evolution going to have to lose their compound, and now the Brawlers have a really good spot in the zone because they're on that northwesternly flank. They have the terrain that they can peek down from. Potentially the Brawlers going to have another standout performance here on Erangel.
Because of the lack of cover, everybody and all of these teams have grouped around a single location.
Yep.
Nades are going to have so much value in this next push. Watch out for the smokes and watch out for that utility being thrown on in. You can see here it comes from Omega looking to try and bounce something in. Oh, huge nade, double knock coming on out. And that is the value I was talking about. Those throwables going to be huge. The headshot comes in from ZFX, and now it's Maximus Alpha to try and make this push. Satan going to be trying to deal death, but it's going to be knocked down and out, actually, by a lot of these players. Everybody's starting to fire on in.
What was that from Satan? He just killed himself. ZFX Evolution, sorry, Maximus Alpha basically get wiped. Disastrous push from them. I can't actually understand what happened. ZFX Evolution now fighting towards ISO, throwing nades across. You can see an encore here from them from past, trying to snake it on into the circle. The Brawlers are just up to their left here. Really strong position for them, but they're going to get contested by SKUL in just a second.
HYDRA's still in it, by the way. They're still going. They're still snaking away with one player. Brawlers have a great position. The insurgency from Learn From Past has started, but they need to make sure that rear guard can catch on up and see what more they can do. ISO really taking a lot of punishment.
They're out in 9th there. ISO eliminated by the Evil Big Fellas from the nades from ZFX Evolution weren't able to come back from it. I love this position from the Brawlers, and this is something that we struggle to see in the Indian region, the ability to play around terrain. It's a weakness of these teams, but this circle here on Erangel is all about the terrain. Coldblood finally gets involved and takes out Cave Sharko, leaving only Jempty left alive from Evil Big Fellas. Really good timing on that push, was watching the kill feed, knowing when these players did eventually lose their lives. Bishma, solo for HYDRA in the blue, got some smoke cover to try and push on in. I don't think he's got the heals ready or the stims yet either.
Going to be the thorn here. Needs to try and get some healing off.
I think Novaking may have spotted him.
This is fine. This is okay. I don't think they have just yet. Getting that first aid on board means that he is going to be set up for this next run. Has the smoke in front of him, but learn from past right there, ready and waiting. I think Encore did spot him out, but ZFX from up the top of the hill gave Bishma the chance to move on forward.
Wiped.
Dear. That's learn from past, and suddenly Bishma has a shout moving forwards.
ZFX Evolution might be able to spot him snaking on in, but he's snaking it directly to this terrain, lovely terrain that Brawlers have for themselves here. Probably the strongest terrain in the circle, currently speaking. King just spotted by Bishma. The spray down with the M4 comes through. He's not going to get the knock though, unfortunately. Bishma hits the deck. King hits the deck last second, and now for Bishma has to throw the smoke for cover. The circle moving on in, and ZFX Evolution going to have it. So are the Brawlers as well. Everyone on this eastern side of the road going to have to cross on over, and it's just two solos, Pain, Coldblood, and Evil Big Fella's Jempty. Final Boss has been very silent up here, but I think Novaking is aware of the position at the rocks.
At the moment, ZFX probably the most known. The shots coming through, and that's actually MegaStars' Final Boss starting to rattle off those shots. He's been given his position away though. Novaking runs on in. There's the M249. Don't even need to reload, he's just going to move around, go for flank. He gets knocked though, Final Boss is able to get it done. Drops down, but he's very low and he's out. It's going to be iconic to get it done. Brawlers still there.
How are the Brawlers losing these fights so heavily?
I think
right now
HYDRA
their
went out in the
position
meantime.
is... No, they're still there.
Oh, no.
The Brawlers are so heavily compromised now. A 2-2 split for them. ZFX Evolution with a 2-1. And Bishma just sneaking up close. 5 teams remain here, and Coldblood and Jempty going to be forced with the circle across the road. They're going to have to pop shots at each other at some point. Is Bishma in the circle? Just about.
Yeah, Brawlers really the focus of this next push. They were 2-2, but they had the terrain to just be free on those rotations. ZFX starting to try and push in. A lot of teams still alive, and you can see there's the fights going over on the other side as well as Evil Big Fellas get eliminated in 5th.
Frost knows that he has to watch the cross coming through from Pain eSports Coldblood here, but the issue is that Demon King might just be able to find an angle if he stands up for too long. Coldblood going to be pushing on in across the road in just a second, and you would assume that Frost would be able to clean him up in just a second here. At least smoke cover, he might have a chance. He's throwing them out, trying to give himself as much room to work with.
See, there's a smoke as well being lobbed on for Frost to try and get that cover. King might just be able to spot out Bishma there, but Coldblood gets spotted by ZFX. They're watching that cross as well, but he's tucked in behind the smoke. He's got a little bit of cover. Some shots being fired off.
Look at all of the Brawlers looking behind them towards where ZFX Evolution is and where HYDRA Bishma is as well. We're in Phase 7, about to hit Phase 8. Going to get really tiny here, John. And finally the Brawlers, Frost peeking, finds Demon King. The nade finishes off Bishma. Demon King will try and crawl down the hill and find ZFX Evolution to get a res. The Brawlers sneaking closer, but again, Pain Coldblood being allowed to cross the road safely. He's going to get to the care package for a bit of cover and a refresh on his armor as well. He has a very damaged tier 1 armor. If he can get that level 3, it could help him massively here. Doubt he's going to take the Mark 14. That's irrelevant at this stage. It looks like it's between ZFX Evolution and the Brawlers, but depending on how Coldblood plays this, he could be the thorn in their sides, and we know already that Pain Coldblood is one of the most pinpoint accurate naders in the game. We've seen it time and time again from him, that he can just wipe squads with a single nade.
Brawlers though,
why are they hopping in vehicles?
They're mounting up. Okay, let's see what they're able to get done. Coldblood does go down, so he's not going to be in this fight anymore. It's just 1 versus 1 in terms of the teams. These squads are going at it. Frost first to fall, so now it's 3 versus 3.
Nice Molotov.
There's a Molotov coming in. That's going to zone away the Brawlers' position as well. They're getting knocked on down. They're getting burnt away as well. A lot of damage getting poured on through, but ZFX, they're really going to struggle to try and climb this hill.
2 knocks here from the Brawlers. Frost down.
Nade.
That's another knock coming through. It's only Novaking to hold it for 4 for the Brawlers. ZFX know it, and they're pushing through the smoke to take out Nova King, to take Erangel in match 11 here in the PUBG Mobile Club Open.
Erangel goes their way. ZFX again into the final circles, into the final play. 10 kills coming out from King. Huge numbers being put on the board there, totaling up for 17 on the chicken dinner. But the Brawlers as well, they are up there with a really strong showing. And with it, they are going to be ready and keeping their average up to try and take that top spot in the tournament.
The Brawlers right now are showcasing that they're potentially the strongest team in the semi-final stage of the PUBG Mobile Club Open for India. But 10 kills for King, probably the biggest solo performance we've seen so far across group stages and semi-finals here, and a very crazy Erangel. Something that these Indian teams have time and time again struggled with, John, is terrain play. It's the thorn in their meta, something that they're not as used to, and this is why I think we're starting to see some new teams rise up the ranks, because they're the ones that are doing better when it comes to terrain play. The Brawlers are certainly picking their terrain fairly well most of the time, and ZFX Evolution in this game, they showcase their understanding of the different ridges around that circle to be able to push on up. Excellent stuff coming through them. So many fights happening here on Potato Hill as 4 teams contested it, but HYDRA was able to hold it down for some time.
Yeah, HYDRA, they had a decent shout, and they ended up coming in at 4th place as well with a nice snake from Bhishma. So they were able to use that power and that position to try and influence things as they went forwards. But they weren't quite able to eke it out in the same way that Cold Blood was, of course, going down in 3rd, and then it was down to the final 2 in the end.
Here you see the highlights rating forward, and things getting pretty crazy as it became obvious to us that the compounds were not going to be the key to victory here. All the teams having to push away from them compounds and play this road, a very difficult road to play due to the fact that both sides of the road have dips and trenches. This push from coming soon hurt them so heavily, and it was what ultimately caused them to die. But, I mean, they knew that they had to make the push because of this overview that MegaStars had. So you have to praise coming soon's recognition of their situation. It's just unfortunate that for them, well, I mean, it's not unfortunate for them. It's just really good play from MegaStars to be able to set up such a well-coordinated crossfire to stop coming soon from taking agency in this game.
That is back-to-back chicken dinners, though, for ZFX Evolution.
Yeah, that's crazy. And, I mean, the ZFX Evolution Sanhok victory, it's maybe not something to shout out about too much because of the way that the game did play. However, good in-game leader coming from them to put them in a position to win that. But here on Erangel, very well coordinated 1v1 against the Brawlers. All their nade play was spot on and holding their utility to when it mattered the most. Taking out Cold Blood here, who could have been such a tricky person. I'm not sure I can really agree with some of the decisions the Brawlers made towards the end here. Hopping in a vehicle, moving into smoke with it, just seemed a little bit off from the Brawlers. But ZFX Evolution, they were not off whatsoever. Molotovs on point, nades on point, getting so many knocks without even having to look at their opponents, meaning that when it did come to trying to take that last fight, they just had a 3-man to push on to Nova King. And Nova King, a great player and a very famous player in India, but just how are you meant to spray down against 3 people who are all running at you from different locations?
And that's the thing as well. I think it really came down to the utility at the end, to the throwables, because when you're playing in terrain, they gain value sort of almost exponentially because they create such a strong zoning presence. Obviously, the smokes are there, but you think, okay, I'm going to lob a nade into a building, a frag grenade into a building. You clear out a room, they just go behind some cover, they can come back into the room. When you lob it behind a tree, they have to leave cover completely. And they have to completely give up a different set of angles, and you can push on that.
And the reason that ZFX had so much utility in this game was because they owned that triple building compound very early on, and all the teams, recognizing it was a very key point to the map, tried to push it. Soul tried to push it, Orb tried to push it, and because of that, you get basically 8 players worth of loot coming towards you, a refresh on your armor and your utility, which allows you to head on into the end game with far more resources. Some teams will try not to fight at all, John, so they can just get placement, but for ZFX Evolution, they were forced to defend their ground, and they were rewarded heavily by getting refreshes on their utility, which allowed them to win the end game circle, showcasing that as a team, they are fairly solid when it comes to back-to-back chicken dinners. And I don't think we've had the turkey yet, John.
No.
Potentially we'll get it later. There's King, putting up 10 kills, 10,000 damage across the board.
Yeah.
able to basically 100-0 as many opponents as possible for him. And just a huge overall performance coming out of ZFX Evolution to showcase that they are fighting to be one of the top teams in India.
Yeah, 4th best team in terms of averages now after that map. So they are ready to and willing to put in the effort. So really, really well done. Of course, not in the top 2, not quite, but that is really, really within striking distance. And especially as we sort of get closer, obviously the next map will be the final map in terms of getting to that halfway point in the semifinals. It'll be the end of the first week after this next map. So really looking to them to try and end on a high note. And if they can maintain that performance, fantastic. Fantastic performance coming out.
Yeah, this is where all the teams will be absolutely equal, and we'll get those standings up and we can see where everyone is at, John.
Yeah, if you want to be a little bit less than equal, though, a little bit better maybe than other people, you can head over and check out Vivo, because, of course, you can perform better with our official mobile device of the PUBG Mobile Club Open 2019. Get those frags, figure out your grip maybe. Some players actually opting to go for a finger style rather than going for the Chad thumbs, which obviously is the best way to play. But check out those Vivo phones.
For sure. And if you want to see more from the PUBG Mobile Club Open and check out those standings and figure out all the teams, which one you want to support in India, clubopen.pubgmobile.com is the site to be. All of the information for the PUBG Mobile Club Open 2019 in one place across 6 regions.
Yeah, and if you want to check out some replays, some highlights, all of the action across all of those regions as well, you can check out the VODs and all the replays at the YouTube channel, PUBG Mobile Esports. And you can hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. You keep up to date with everything that's going on. Watch it back at your leisure. Do a little bit of analysis. Let us know what you think. You can tweet at us. We'll probably read it. I mean,
I'm gonna read it.
You're gonna read it.
Yeah.
He'll read it for me. I'll give you the notes on it as well. But yeah, fantastic stuff over there, and fantastic games we've seen so far.
Yeah, match 1 of Erangel going very well coordinated for a lot of these teams, and we're starting to see the smarter play coming out of these different teams, and potentially some of the earliest strategies that worked for the top dogs in the group stages starting to fall because everyone is upping their rotational game. And so on match 12 here, the halfway point for the semifinals, it'll be really interesting to see which team makes it there. Can ZFX Evolution get the turkey, get 3 chicken dinners in a row? It's a bit confusing when it's 3 chicken dinners equals a turkey, but you know, it is what it is, John.
Yeah, maybe a turducken or something like that. You ever heard of a turducken?
I've not.
I'll explain it to you in the break, because we are going to be heading over to one of those just now. When we come back, it will be the final map to bring everybody even to 8 maps in the semi-finals. A really good comparison point. So we'll see how that goes after the break.
Vivo. Zombie, Darkest Night. The newest mode in the zombie universe is here. This time, the rules are different. No more parachuting, as players will be placed at random locations on the map when the match begins, and there is no single winner. Players must work with their teammates to spend one long night in the match and stay alive until the sun comes up. Waves and waves of zombies will spawn during each of the 3 foggy periods at night, and supplies should only be scavenged when the fog fades. The main objective is not to defeat other players, though this doesn't mean they are harmless. Players may need to work with other teams when necessary, but should also watch their backs in case the Fragile Alliance goes south. This will be a unique experience for every player involved. This new mode also comes with a passive skill for every player. Understanding these skills will be the key to staying alive in this long night. Can you ride out the night?
PUBG Mobile for free.
Do you play PUBG Mobile? Maybe you never run out of stamina. Maybe you're always aware of your surroundings. Maybe you're an amazing cook with the pan. Maybe you're a great driver. But as soon as you hear the sound of an airplane, you get into the zone. In PUBG Mobile, you all come from different walks in life. But you face the same dangers on the battleground. And you become friends. You work together to overcome the obstacles. This is PUBG Mobile. There's a number one in all of us. Welcome to the PUBG Mobile first anniversary party. PUBG Mobile, be the one.
Welcome back to the final map of today. We're heading over into Erangel in just a minute once we get everyone live and ready in the lobby. My name is John Allen. I'm back with Dowsey, and we are ready to put everybody on an even footing to have a good comparison point here at the 8-match stage, halfway through the semi-finals.
Yep, all these teams will play 16 matches each, which means that they will have a very even spread of data, essentially, to really showcase that they deserve to go to the regional finals here in India. Lots of surprising teams showcasing their ability in the semi-finals, John, really upping their macro shot calling and, I guess, micro decision-making as well.
Sure.
Where did ZFX Evolution come from?
Yeah, they've today just had back-to-back chicken dinners, right? Like they are really, really strong. They've just come out of really like the middle of the pack, if we're honest, towards the bottom end of that, if then. And you're coming up against teams like Team India, obviously the outperforming themselves Team ISO as well, coming through. Seoul is in there as well, and you're just jumping in and getting so much done. Let's take a look at the standings currently before we head into this final map. You can see the Brawlers, they are within striking distance of Team Insidious. If they get 12 points in this next map, they will be sat atop the leaderboard going into the halfway point.
Pretty impressive stuff. If ZFX Evolution were to get another chicken dinner as well, they could also be fighting for that top dog spot. Of course, they would rely on the Brawlers of having a fairly lackluster game. ISO as well, still very consistent, John, up in 4th position overall. This is a completely different standings board than what we had in the group stages. TeamINSIDIOUS really the only team that have maintained success from group stages to semi-finals, and a lot of that is on the back of a huge day 1 performance where they got 113 points total. Their day 2 performance was very lackluster in comparison. All these other teams being far more consistent across their games and across their days as well. And it really begs the question as to what happened to some of the big dogs in India. What happened to Team India, to HYDRA, to Coming Soon, as they've fallen from the top 8.
Well, people have got the read on them, it seems, and they've managed to try and adapt to this gameplay style and learn more and move it into the future, because they, of course, have learnt from the past.
I mean, when you learn from the past, I mean, they're still doing all right, aren't they? They've had consistent performances today, a 6th, a 3rd, and in the last one they came 7th, so at least top 8s for them. ZFX Evolution, though, over the last 2 games has had so many kills, John. A total of how many kills? It's
I think it's
10
over on Miramar, not on Miramar, on Sanhok. They got
27
10,
over 2 games, is right?
Yeah, 17
Okay.
over on Erangel.
So, I mean, that just showcases that not only are they doing really good as far as rotational ability is concerned to be getting in the top position in the endgame circles, but they're doing so with force. A 17-kill game on Erangel, 10 kills on Sanhok, and of course they were very isolated on the western side of the circle for so long, so it makes sense they would have a low kill count. But that's huge. 27 points just from kills over 2 games is massive stuff. Plus,
well, that's over 3 games, so they didn't actually get any kills in the first game.
Did they come 16th?
No, they did not. I think they came around.
So they got
11th.
kills. I don't even know what we're talking about at the moment.
No,
John.
they got no kills. They came 11th.
They came 11th.
Yeah, with
yeah.
no
So
kills.
they got some points, but that's crazy. Like over 2 games, you get 60 points for your placement. You get 27 kills, which means 27 points from your kills as well. And here's the teams that we're really questioning right now as to what happened over the transition from the group stages. Coming soon are just not showing up at all whatsoever. And we talked about that. At least in the past, they've been contested for their Pachinki drops on Erangel, and Erangel your anchor, so you expect teams to do okay there. But they were completely uncontested in Pachinki and still didn't have a very good performance. So we need to see something out of them sooner rather than later, because if any of these other teams start performing, Maximus Alpha, Evil Big Fellas who should be performing as well, then Coming Soon could just be at risk of elimination come next week.
For sure. I mean, they had an okay showing in that previous Erangel. It would be an okay showing if they had also other okay showings, but unfortunately the rest of them just not doing well. And of course, yet again, a disastrous performance coming in for GODL. They really haven't had any respite from these just bad performances, quite frankly, and it's just the running theme of this weekend, and it's unfortunate to see them on 31 points with 1 more map to go. I mean, the maximum they could even hope for with the best showing, probably around 45 points to come in, and even then they're not catching up to even escape the elimination bracket at this stage.
That would require them to as well put like 15 kills out there, which is like a huge ask for a team that is underperforming. Then from past are creeping back into their spot. They're very understated, I think, John, in their performances, but that's fine. In the semi-finals, you can be understated because that is showcasing that you're a top performer without basically demanding teams figure you out immediately. And if they can continue to creep, then that will be very good for their chances at regional finals, because they may not be the expected team to dominate over there. But like we've said, the uptick of performances coming through from ISO, Brawlers, and ZFX Evolution has been revolutionary here for the Indian region, and it will really require that the teams over the break that they get of the next week before they get into week 2 of the semi-finals figure these teams out so they can fight them here in the PUBG Mobile Club Open.
I think it's really interesting what you said about being understated as we move over on into Erangel for our final map of this week. To see what's going on. But being understated, as you say, it can be very good, because in the semi-finals, everything before the regional finals, really, it is about that consistency. Not doing anything too dramatic, just making sure you stick to your fundamentals. But when we hit this the final stage afterwards, that's where I'm expecting things to go really, really interesting.
Let's have a look at this flight path here. Very northernly flight as we head from Lipovka over towards North George. Evil Big Fella's going to be very happy with this because it gives them the military, the Milta base completely uncontested. GODL will go for Milta. ISO have actually shifted up their play just a little bit here, landing in prison. So this is 3 different locations from ISO and 3 Erangel matches, which showcases they may not actually be super confident, or maybe they just want to make plays around the plane instead.
ISO split?
ISO are split, actually, yeah. They're following Maximus Alpha down towards farm. Maximus Alpha love the farm area because usually it's fairly uncontested. ZFX Evolution, we said that they like to go to Milta, and they are going to go to Milta, where GODL is going to contest them, so more changes. And
India have touched down.
They've touched down, so maybe they found vehicles, and those vehicles will allow them to cross over to Sovnovska military base island. We'll have to see. You can see, actually, yeah, there are vehicles. So will they be able to get across? Because if GODL, ZFX Evolution get any shots onto them right now, they could put so many bullets into them. Pain are actually crashing into Orb up in Yasnaya.
We saw that last map. Yeah, we saw that last time around. But that's that's a heavy South George as well coming through. The question is, for me, can Team India make this rotation before GODL get those guns, get those pickups, and get that loot? Because, of course, that's really going to be the deciding factor there. Only Hash is on that flank, and you can see GODL just starting to enter now. If India can make it past early, then they might be able to get something done.
India even going to the military base island? We haven't seen them cross yet, so maybe they're going somewhere else. I'm really worried for ZFX Evolution. After so many fantastic performances and a different landing that they knew was uncontested, they decided to go back to their roots at Milta here, which GODL has consistently contested them when they could. Of course, being from the same group, they know that whenever they play on Erangel, they're going to have GODL. ISO have also made the rotation with their vehicles. That's why they split, because they wanted to go to different vehicle locations, and now they're over to Novo. But will ZFX Evolution be able to push deep into the tournament again if they're going to change their dropping location to the Milta area, which they know GODL will land, because this has happened every game so far? Will that hurt their chances again? Questions to be asked, John. We'll track it as we get on here. Brawlers once more, completely uncontested in Rozhok. That's been such a key to them, being able to rotate that from the north to the middle of the map when necessary. But we do get a very easternly circle, and if that pushes over towards Milta, that could really favor the Evil Big Fellas because they will already be on that cliff face.
PixL Spades at the moment, they've got the control of these apartment blocks in South George. The containers, more than likely, I believe it was Seoul who's going to be landing there.
Yeah, as always.
As always, as they are wont to do. Try and get themselves some of that Gucci kit on board. Everybody, again, just going to take this one slow. So what I'm really looking for is where Brawlers are going to go. You can see that's Evil Big Fellas and ZFX having a little bit of a clash, and that's over towards Milton.
This was the fear that we had, the M249 for Spike really early on with a nice zoom on it as well, and trying to line the headshot onto King. I'm surprised that King is sticking behind this building. Yeah, he's going for the res, stuck it. Jempty's pushing up close as well, and we were worried for ZFX Evolution. Going back to their roots at Milta, that Evil Big Fellas and GODL would just isolate them here, and they have done so. The sprays.
He's taking the wheels out.
Both wheels, 2 wheels out. They just have to fire at the vehicle here. That's going to be the knock on to Piano Guy, and King going to go down as well. Jempty with a huge push, and ZFX Evolution from back-to-back chicken dinners to a massive change in game plan. Horribly going for them right now.
The Evil Big Fellas going to descend upon them. And with it, death is brought to 2 of the ZFX players. Jempty just going to be able to clean out King, and they pick themselves up 2 quick frags.
So many questions through my head. Why did ZFX Evolution decide to go back to Milta at this stage in the game? Let's see that initial knock from Spike. Oh, look at that. Too easy.
He was just sat still. Yeah, I mean, that's going to happen.
But he saw them pushing up to the vehicle. He knew that that was going to be the play, and from that point onwards, ZFX Evolution were doomed to lose 2 members there. And now, from back-to-back chicken dinners on Sanhok in the first match of Erangel to down 2 members right at the start of the game, their chances of finding that turkey just dwindle immediately.
Coming soon, looking to push up a little bit more in the points. Pachinki will be their stomping ground, obviously uncontested at this stage. ZFX, though, these are the remaining 2 players for them, the previous victors, just rolling around trying to get a little bit of loot on board. Of course, they're going to have to play a little bit more reserved. No high kill games going to be coming through from them this time around. But as you can see, Orb have spread out around Yasnaya. This is starkly different to what we saw from them before. Before, what we saw was these two teams just isolating themselves into single locations and seeing what they can get. ISO over towards the shipping containers in Novo. We'll be able to get plenty of loot. I'm imagining Team India will have made that rotation as well over towards that military base, and they'll be able to get plenty done as well. Obviously, it's a very eastern circle, this one, so that eastern bridge will be hotly contested. And if ISO can get there first, to be honest, they might have a chance at just shutting down Team India straight away.
Yeah, I mean, GODL and Maximus Alpha, very close to that eastern bridge as well, could decide to go for it. Wouldn't be surprised if Team India then take the western bridge because of this. Less likely to be contested by anyone. HYDRA, of course, changing their drop zone just a little bit, landing more towards the Chopsticks farms in Gatka due to the fact that the plane was so northernly. You can see Maximus Alpha actually making their rotation into the eastern circle, immediately going towards the farmhouses on the southern shore and hiding their vehicles on the eastern flank, which makes sense. Here's the circle overview, and you can see Team India once more on the military base island. HYDRA are going to immediately be the ones to contest coming soon if they want to push into Pachinki.
Although they do normally just spread out around that western coast, so they might go a little bit north of it. There's quite a lot of area up there that they can go. It is risky. They will need to find those vehicles on board to make those rotations. They might opt to go south, but they will very rarely just go straight on through and try and take it like that.
See Sol actually pushing past GODL here.
Oh, this is really lucky for GODL that they didn't stop and try and get a little bit more loot on board.
There's doors open as well.
Yeah.
Which sometimes will get spotted and the team will decide that they want to take out the members there, but it didn't make too much sense. The yellow houses just northwest of Pachinki aren't in the circle, so you won't go for them. The Brawlers having overwatch of Headshot Valley, as you call it, John.
Well, look at those two vehicles rotating.
That's Sol making the rotation, as we just saw from earlier. And maybe the Brawlers pop shots over towards them. Cross going to attempt. At this range, it's very unlikely you get a knock, but somehow they're connecting shots onto Ronak from about 1,000 meters away.
They managed to get a little bit. They will have known, of course, there's hit markers will pop up on their screen.
Yeah, exactly. That's got to be like such a nice feeling as well when you get those hit markers pop up.
Yeah. That
you just made a 1,000-meter spray across Headshot Valley onto a moving vehicle.
Yeah. That little cherry blossom tree as well over on the top of the hill for them. So they get a nice long spray and they just bring it back and have a nice nice cup of tea.
Last time we saw a team on Erangel though have a bit of picnic at the cherry blossom team. It went disastrous for them. That was Team Insidious going out in 16th.
That certainly was pretty disastrous. But
however, they've got a better position to rotate into the circle.
This time around, Orb have just left Yasnaya very early. They don't want to go for that engage because, of course, both of those teams kind of lost out quite a lot going for those delayed engages over around the Yasnaya place. As the Yasnaya apartments around quite a lot of stuff moving forwards. But there's an airdrop over towards shelter. No one really too nearby to try and find it out, so we'll see what it comes of it. ISO, probably the closest by. It's a Groza.
I mean, maybe ZFX Evolution go for it from the log cabins. But we'll see if they want to be risky in their play. A lot of people having to make that rotation from the west. It's a very easternly shift here. One that's going to favor the evil big fellas heavily. We do see Team India starting to make their jump across the bridge. And like you mentioned earlier with the split from ISO, they have actually left Ninja up in prison whilst the rest of them are down in Novo. So a 1-3 split from the team. Bit of a difference here from ISO, potentially wanting to just have a flanker that does their own stuff. You never know why teams do this. Sometimes it's because their communication's breaking down and or sometimes it's a very deliberate decision made by the in-game leader because they want to guarantee that if they are going to a very far location that they will be able to get away from it. Now, remember back to the beginning of the game when Team India and ISO were crossing? They actually saw each other in the vehicles. That's why India has spotted up here. Yeah, this is ISO making the rotation. So because Team India saw ISO going to Novo, now they're camping the bridge to try and stop ISO from crossing. We'll have to get a camera back on that because I really want to see if ISO just gun it.
But in the meantime, it's the Brawlers coming under fire. One of them does get knocked. Of course, they're looking to post about 12 points. I think, well, if they get 12 points, they will be in first position in this semi-final. They've already managed to climb up to second, so we'll see how they're able to do. But with one player going down, that's going to throw a spanner in the works for them. HYDRA starting to look to push on in nearby as well, but they just rotate away. They don't want any piece of that, and I think the Brawlers might just leave their teammate to go down.
Ooh,
Here's the cross.
They're zooming across. Avi hasn't even stopped on the 3-person. He's going to let his teammates go for that. That's really smart by Scout, who's now going to go for the spray down with the M4 onto Shidu. Going to get the knock fairly easily. They stop on the bridge.
This is
going to
brutal.
get to the water. Aladdin gets down, but they're going to lose Shidu. I think they lose Avi as well. ISO get destroyed by Team India. Smart play coming through for them, just remembering that ISO went to Novo and punishing ISO's blatant ignorance when it came to crossing the bridge there. Something that Team India have just done time and time again, has been so coordinated with their bridge crosses, making sure that they do it slowly in case this happens, and now Team India showcasing that that's why they do it.
Yeah.
So easy to catch a team out.
Fantastic performance, fantastic hold, and I think the Brawlers actually did manage to save their teammate.
Iconic got up, yep.
Moving on there. Interestingly enough, one of the ISO players did just drop off the bridge when he was downed. That means, of course, if they want the loot from the body, they have to go and swim for it, and they're not going to be going for it.
They went to
they didn't take any
Military
damage
Island,
at
didn't
all. Yeah, they should be all right. They should be okay. But you know, it's just it's inches that become miles in this sort of situation.
I don't know about you, John, but I find these Milter Hills Burning Forest fights just so painful to play when I play PUBG. There's just so many trees that you need to be aware of, so many locations that have cover and good angles from those hills, and since we're getting that kind of shelter / Milter Hill finish, going to be really interesting to see how these teams play it. Currently HYDRA at the yellow houses by the log cabins. ZFX Evolution, there are 2 players that remain. Going to be holding out there for now as learn from pass, cross on into the circle. Looks like SKUL deciding to go for the yellow houses just above farm, where coming soon have posted up for now.
They do manage to get away. They're taking shots from the back. SKUL lose some tires on that UAZ. That's not the best to see. Actually, you can see ISO did go over and loot his teammate.
Yep.
Aladdin able to get that one.
If you're Team India, do you look to confirm the kill, or do you just decide circle priority is more
They're
important?
so weak at this stage. They know there's only one player.
Yep.
It's not going to be the priority to try and take him down. They can just leave him to the dogs, as it were, to pick them up a little bit later.
Remember what ISO did at the beginning of the game, John? They left Ninja all alone in prison.
No one there to post his bail, though.
But it's worked out for them, John. That
I mean,
awareness has meant
Has
that
it, though?
they've kept one member alive in the center of the map for now.
Okay.
They're just going to be playing a flanker role and just lurking around. MegaStars aren't done with the Brawlers, who are trying to pick up that M249, I believe it was.
They haven't taken too much damage, though. They might just be able to get away with it as well.
Mini fire is really scary. Shadow switches to the AK, iron sights to try and spray on down onto the Brawlers, who look like they spun out. The vehicle's blown up. Now they're isolated in such an awkward position. This valley near shelter. And the MegaStars going to try and push on forward and take out Brawlers early. Force them to really consider their play here. It looks like Frost got away from the group, so that's good. They've at least got one player up the hill who should be safe. It's just Nova King, Dark, and Iconic that I think are in trouble. No, it's just Dark and Nova King.
There's a nice little bit of terrain that they can try and make a break for. If they have some smokes, if they have some utility, they can move out back. They've got those players to move away to as well. You can see those 2 teammates are further around, and this is a really nice line of smoke that should be able to give them a nice bit of cover. The rest of the team can start to chime on in towards the MegaStars as well. Yeah,
nice stuff coming through as the suppressing fire comes, so Dark and Nova King can try and escape the Valley of Doom. Team India have posted up on a rock just next to Milter here, overlooking the farm where coming soon will be hiding out, and HYDRA have grouped up in the yellow houses here. Evil Big Fella's pushing out of Milter Power, going to contest the log cabins and potentially breach the compound soon, which would be a do or die moment for ZFX Evolution, who's looking to make the back-to-back-to-back chicken dinner play. In fact, they're not inside the yellow houses, they're hiding at the piles of logs instead, snaking it out and being as sneaky as possible. ZFX Evolution already losing 2 members to the Evil Big Fellas. They don't want to go out to them.
Aladdin and Ninja, 2 members of the same team, very, very split up, but the next circle pops. Seoul towards the center. You've got HYDRA, who are going to be facing off against that ZFX Evil Big Fellas flank coming in, but look at this.
It is.
It's the Orm drop, and it's right on top of SKUL.
Let's get some on play. I love my on play.
Do you like Orm play?
I love on play, John.
Do you?
SKUL looking towards it. There is quite a couple people there. It's Team 12. Who are Team 12?
Team 12.
They're Lem from Pass.
Lem from Pass.
Yep. Who will be overlooking that as well. Boom! Big shots coming through from the M249. M24, sorry, I should say. Shelter is the center of the circle, the top end of the circle. You can see MegaStars are going to claim it for themselves. The Evil Big Fella's getting pushed upon by Orb from down the hill. The UAS not providing enough cover for Spike. Sharko, Jempty, and Cave Sharko from the top of the hill going to overlook and see if they can't do much to stop Orb with this push. You can see Lem from Pass crossing on into the circle. The Brawler is going to be at one side of Shelter. MegaStar is going to be at the other, and Pain eSports going to be just north to them at this current point.
Orb have pressure over towards Evil Big Fellas at the moment. There's a nade coming through towards Spike. Should just be able to hide for now. So there it goes.
Brawler actually,
down.
they're taking the fight to MegaStars. And this time it's Dark and Frost who's going to get fired upon. Nova King and Iconic trying to push from the other side, trying to pincer onto MegaStars, but they're not successful just yet. Final Boss flushing on out. As the fight continues, Iconic goes down. That just leaves Frost by the Darcia to try and take it all here. And I just can't see how he does it. The Brawler's looking to go out in 16th position. Does find a spray onto Leo. Nice stuff. Khan pushing with Shadow, but he gets the knock. Can he get Khan as well? He's spraying down.
Oh my goodness
How
me!
does he do that? Frost
Brawlers!
clutches it out, and the Brawlers survive, taking MegaStars down.
Frost bites with Arctic Fury, able to take them out, and they are going to go out in 16th place. I thought it was all but done, but they put them on ice, and they get it done.
Incredible scenes from the Brawlers here, wanting to take first position, but unfortunately for them, Seoul looking to third party the knocks. Dark will get confirmed here, and they're not out of it just yet as GODL spraying onto the PixL Spades here. Team India did lose a member. I believe Kratos went down on the sidelines, and they're having to push up towards PixL Spades and GODL, who have the compounds in the forest here. Going to be very difficult for them. You can see Maximus Alpha in the Harry Potter Tower above Seoul's location, meaning that Seoul going to have a tricky push when they do eventually have to go north, if they do eventually have to go north.
So on our points tracker for the Brawlers, I think they managed to get all 4 of those kills confirmed for their team. So they got 4 points on the board. They're now looking to get into that 8th position to get that first place on the board. So that's really what they're going to be looking for. The best performance, obviously, is what they want. They want to be getting towards that top 5 sort of setup. But if they hit 8th, then they're golden to take that first spot. Unless someone like ISO comes in and has an absolutely smasher of a game. But with their 2 players split up, that's going to be very unlikely here.
Yeah, one of them all the way up to the north, and the other, I'm not entirely sure I can see it. I think I heard an Orm firing. Does that mean that SKUL have claimed it for themselves? I guess we'll find out later. The circle shifting over towards the east here, where HYDRA hold out in those yellow houses. Then from past, Evil Big Fellas, ZFX Evolution, right at the top of the logs, and SKUL pushing in onto their location here.
They're very split up, SKUL. They aren't going in as a full squad, so they have a little bit less firepower under their belt. Could be a little bit difficult to try and get it done.
Wow, Seoul are actually taking the Harry Potter Tower from Maximus Alpha as Kritugia tries to push back to cover here, try to get some kills, get King, a res, but Mortal and a Waste want to try and stop this. The spray down comes down from Kritugia, and a headshot into a Waste is going to be good. Mortal gets the jumping spray onto Kritugia, and we'll be able to get the revive, you'd think, onto a Waste in the Harry Potter Tower.
2 downs by the tower. I think 1 was further up the hill. We'll see if they're able to get it done. But PixL Spades now starting to try and move on forwards. But Pain eSports, they're taking the hurt over onto Learn From Past as well. The backup is going to go in from Seoul as this rotation from the west starts to come on through.
PixL Spades zooming up the hill, trying to get to the log yard for themselves. It's going to be very difficult as they crash on in there. About 4 teams already posted up, and they've gone straight into HYDRA here. Going to be spraying down, confirming kills onto HB and RNG Gaming, I believe.
This is a really hectic fifth zone. There's 15 teams still standing, and you can see how spread out everyone is, how dotted around they are. Everyone needs to try and find that next spot to get a little bit of strength, but at the moment, Orb trying to push it in. They're not having great chances against Evil Big Fellas.
A tug, 2 knocks with a single nade off our screens. ISO have actually regrouped at the top of the circle, very close to where the Brawlers are and Maximus Alpha. You can see SKUL, Jonathan with the Orm, yeah, looking to try and pop shots over towards GODL down this hill. Another nade from Sharko to find another knock. Evil Big Fella's firing back onto Orb this time from down the hill. Now the Brawlers under fire as well. PixL Spades will go out, and so will the Brawlers. 14th and 15th position for them, and I think the Brawlers are now out of top place, but Orb trying to keep this alive against Evil Big Fellas. The spray down's onto Neo. That's a burning vehicle. Neo, you need to get away from it. I'm pretty sure it hasn't been blown up yet. Oh no, it has. I'm silly. It's very much blown up.
Okay. We'll see how it goes. HYDRA, decent position at the moment on the western side of the circle. Evil Big Fella's vying for it, but this northern flank is so messy.
Yes.
Nobody really with a safe spot at this stage.
About 8 teams all crowded into that northern side of the circle, and SKUL losing their split here. They had a 3-1 split. And unfortunately for Ashish, it is going to be GODL to clean that one up. Look at Team India, though, snaking up behind SKUL. They've heard that Orm going off, and it doesn't look like SKUL are aware whatsoever of Trance's flank onto them. Could be detrimental if India wanted to snake all the way up and try and steal that Orm from Jonathan, as well as take that position on the eastern flank. ISO, Aladdin trying to keep them in the running as they spray through the smoke onto Pain here. They can take out Pain, then all they have to deal with is learn from past in the Harry Potter Tower. I mean, a hard task, it's not easy. Looks like the spray downs have come through onto SKUL as well, but where from? North? Potentially that's where they're currently smoking towards. This is the time for Team India to strike if they wanted to, and looks like Trance is going to go for it.
He's pushing up. Is he going to get the spot? Jonathan, though, is at the back. Drops the smoke down, and he's going to change his angle, but Pain eSPORTS trying to fight out with ISO as well, making this push. ISO obviously very split up. They need to try and find something in it, and they are going to be able to make this cross so far. Soul now under fire from HYDRA, trying to find anything. Those vehicles under threat as well. Godkill has been knocked already, but Joker, one of the most dynamic players, is showing just why he is one of the best. And he is going to go in. Goes down, though, unfortunately, before he can do too much more. Mortal able to win it out, and you can see Ronak on the flank. Soul giving them the fight they asked for.
Really nice position here from Ronak to flank on in. Will it be successful enough is the question. Teams going out quickly, and it is going to be Soul losing members across the board. Evil losing members to Viper going out. So that is going to be HYDRA learn from past, all taking out Soul here.
Swag.
Alpha. Swag. I mean, Omega's just hiding here. Encore throws a nade in, but I mean, I don't think it's going to connect because it's going to hit the Darts here instead of blowing up on Maximus Alpha.
That's another nade, though. Drops another smoke.
Yeah. This is crazy as SKUL go out to Evil Big Fellas. That means that Team India now can push on into the circle. The spray down coming through from Learn from Pass through the smoke will find Omega. And Maximus Alpha out in 10th. Here we see Orb snaking at the top of the circle, trying to find position from the high ground here. All these teams closing in so heavily. 9 teams in phase 6. We're almost at phase 7 here, John. Nick's going to get spotted as he gets sprayed on down by Dreger.
It's so difficult to know who has a strong position here, but I'm looking to teams like Team India. Of course, no one has 4 players left standing. We're in phase 6 now. There's 9 teams, or wait, there are 8 teams as ZFX go out. They are going to get... Oh no, ZFX still have 2.
Still have 2, but Viru is down. I think currently Orb probably have the strongest position, but the circle shift onto ZFX Evolution, onto PixL Spades, and Team India with a chance to crawl on into it. Of course, the Evil Big Fellas and Orb will have overwatch of this circle. We'll have to try and push down the hill. HYDRA have coming soon on their flank and learn from past. They can see in front of them. Does Encore spot the nade? No, he doesn't. Just continues to snake it. It was like, what? Where'd that come from?
That's elimination.
Eliminating learn from past. So now HYDRA only have to worry about coming soon below them.
is going to be able to confirm that one as well. So nice pickup for HYDRA. One of the stronger teams in terms of position. Of course, everybody pretty much decimated. Orb have Overwatch onto Evil Big Fellas at this stage as well. And this next push is going to be so hard.
For the first time as well, because Orb had to push up the hill to where Evil Big Fellas were. So Evil Big Fellas really wishing they could have taken Orb down in that moment, because now it's Orb who have the high ground against them and the advantage in this circle. So many solos here. Rain and Demon King holding on in for their team. You can see in your picture-in-picture there is Demon King and the dip just below where the Evil Big Fellas are.
So ZFX still in with a chance of that back-to-back-to-back chicken dinner. They still have a shout, but it's going to be very, very difficult for them to do it. Coming soon, still live and kicking as well. One of the teams that needs good performances on a consistent level to move forwards. Team India taking a knock. That's coming soon are going to be the ones to do it. Oh, we might have just trotted out Trance as well.
Definitely knows where the shots came from, but very difficult to spot Trance as everyone's snaking here.
HYDRA is so close.
Very close, and they've heard the shots. Wow, standing up to try and take shots onto Orb, and HYDRA going to spray him down. Neo going to get knocked there, and it's Bishma making the plays. Neo will get confirmed. Still ZFX Evolution hiding out. Are they? Or are they knocked? I think they're dead. We may have missed it.
ZFX might have gone out there.
Yep. Now we have such a quiet circle for the first time, unless it's just our observed feed. Nope, that nade shows that it is just a really quiet circle. Evil Big Fellas want the compound here, pushing into the yellow houses. They're not the easiest to hold. Jempty going to stay outside for now. Coming soon, we'll get eliminated by HYDRA, who pushing up to the yellow houses. And Evil Big Fella spraying on down. Orb now needs to make the push, but Jempty's got the angle.
Of course, remember, none of these teams have 4 players. Nobody is fully staffed, so everything is a little bit more chaotic here into the final circle. Sharko gets spotted out. A nice knock comes through from Orb, and they continue to have this Overwatch on their position. To push out of here, it's going to be so difficult. You could see this kit being dropped. The armor is still there for him. He can heal up. Jempty, though, needs to revive his teammate to have a little bit more power into these final circles.
Somehow Trance got Daljit up here for Team India. 2 men for them, 2 men for Evil Big Fellas, 2 for HYDRA, 1 for Orb and 1 for Rain. And a huge nade from Rain will find Bishma behind the rock. Dregger going to have to try and get the res, but have to watch out for Orb Gaming, who very much have a very, not quite, the fence is just providing cover here. But if he had a nade, we know that RG Gaming just got a restock from a dead teammate. There may have been a nade in that loot box, who knows.
Oh, here goes Team India. He spotted out Evil Big Fellas on the back. That's going to be a clean wipe. Nice takeout for Team India, as they will be able to get it done. They push on forwards.
4 teams remaining here. Orb at the top of the circle. HYDRA trying to contest Rain, but the nade over the hill. Can it hit HYDRA?
Oh, just able to get away, as it is Rain being focused down with them. And that's another knock going down, and another team out. Orb full. Now HYDRA have the outside of this building on lock. Pain have the inside, and on the back, you've got Team India.
Trying to spray on in. Unfortunately for Rain, it's the grenades that are coming in like rain into his yellow house.
Oh, that's good.
That's good. That's him knocked and eliminated. It's India versus HYDRA here. The top 2 dogs from the group stages now fighting it out for an Erangel win in the log cabins. The circle at phase 9 will push on into this corner of the house, and Team India know it, pushing up quickly.
HYDRA around the corner.
Bishma with the fray. Silence Groza, so deadly at close range, and they're going to confirm it. It's now a 1v3 that Daljit has to clutch.
He has to look for it, looking for the corner peak. Dreiger looking to try and go out wide. Where is the rotation coming in? The flank is close, but he backs up into the blue. That's disastrous, and he has just panic set in completely as HYDRA capitalize. They go for the peak. They close it down, and that is a return to form from them. The old HYDRA is back with a bite.
Hail HYDRA here on Erangel as a massive performance of 10 kills to clutch it out for them. Calm, calculated, slow rotations into the circle. Win it out here on Erangel. Match 12 as we come to a halfway point in the semi-finals. And once more, we see Orb putting up a good performance. ZFX in 7th. No kills this time, but showcasing that they are solid as far as positional points are concerned. We finally saw the return to form for Team India that we wanted, John, in this last match. And, I mean, it's nice to see. It showcases that the old dog of the Indian region hasn't gone out just yet.
I wouldn't call them old. I think there was such a topsy-turvy. I'll give them that. But I think that it's been such a topsy-turvy weekend in terms of these games. It's been back and forth, people putting in performances and then coming down and up and back and out and in. That it's good to see that some of the strength from the group stages is coming through. I agree with you on that. I think that's reasonable to say. But ZFX. This was really disastrous from them in the early game. They lost 2 players, and with it, so much strength in terms of rotations. Of course, this was a really nice bridge camp coming from Team India, showing exactly why they opt to go for this pepper pot strategy of moving one section of your team forwards, them having a firing line established, then moving the rest of your team, moving them forwards to beyond that position and leapfrogging time and time again. And that's called pepper potting up towards the enemy, because you always have strength in terms of some firing.
I can't believe Frost.
That was insane.
That was nutty. Play of the tournament so far for me here in the Indian region to keep his team alive.
I'd agree with you.
Deep into the tournament, get some more points. They don't quite top out the leaderboard, at least we don't think they do. We'll get the standings up at the end of the broadcast so you can find out for yourself. But this shelter log cabin area was just so messy for all these teams, and like I mentioned, it's such a hard area to play, all terrain to play for. You can see that the push from Trance onto SKUL was what came through. We didn't quite see it. That nade though from HYDRA, just so many times HYDRA found fights that their opponents were just not aware that existed. They didn't know they existed in the circle. This beautiful spray down from Trance as well to find 2 onto Evo and eliminate them. It all came down to this. The Groza silenced at close range, eliminating Trance so early. And the 1v1 just not possible here for Daljit. Get the head-to-head between HYDRA and Team India. 2 of our top performers, 2nd and 3rd from the group stages, showcasing why they've been able to do that. 10 kills versus 8, 1,500 damage apiece, 40 to 30 points overall to be won from this game here.
Very, very high-scoring games, and of course that's going to put HYDRA way up the leaderboards. I think that's going to leave them in 3rd place overall at the halfway point in these semi-finals. They're going to be able to have a really nice movement as they go on forwards. Of course, Team India as well, they're going to be up there. I think they're going to drop around 5th.
We'll get the standings up later, John.
Yeah, we'll get the standings in and we'll take them there. But you can see that those number of points going to give them a much more bolstered performance moving forwards, and it's going to give them the confidence as well. So it's all going to be on how teams can turn it around for next week as well.
I mean, let's just talk about the standout teams from the group's semifinals so far. The ones that no one expected to come: ZFX Evolution, ISO, and the Brawlers, putting up so many top dog performances in their 8 matches so far. No one really thought too much of ISO or ZFX Evolution from the group stages. They had mediocre performances, mid-pack performances, nothing to be crying about, but nothing to write home about either. And all of a sudden, they've upped their games, their team rotations, their macro rotations, and just their decision-making overall to get better circle positioning and then win it out based on that. And as we all know, due to the way the placements work in the PUBG Mobile Club Open, it's all about getting that top finish, getting those 30 points from first if you can, because the kills aren't as valuable as they are in other PUBG tournaments. And this is where the teams are starting to adapt to that meta and realize how to do it. Now what we're seeing is that the teams are starting to also be a bit more confident in taking fights early, because they realize that the fights early, if they are successful, will then help them get that later position as well. So it's really nice to see this meta develop.
If you want to be successful in PUBG Mobile as well, you should check out Vivo, the official mobile device of the mobile smartphone of the PUBG Mobile Club Open 2019. And with it, you can start to think about stacking up with those pros. It's a good bit of kit.
Yeah, I mean, you can check out the V15 and the V15 Pro, as you can see below us on our desk, highlighted.
Look at that,
as
how
well.
smooth that is. That's
really nice stuff. Yeah. And of course, if you want to find out the final standings of any of the regions at this halfway point of the groups, the semi-finals, then head over to clubopen.pubgmobile.com, where you can find those standings from the semi-finals, and of course, find the rosters of the teams that are biting for that regional finals position.
Yeah, they're going to see what they can get done. But if you want to see what they can get done as well, you can head over to the YouTube channel, which is, of course, PUBG Mobile Esports on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and make sure that you are up to date with all of the action, not just in India, but across multiple different regions, and making sure that you can be completely up to date with it. So, yeah, fantastic stuff coming out from these teams. You can watch it back there. But at the moment, the standings are really going to be shaping up. It's going to be really nice to compare how these teams are stacking up in terms of their placement.
Yeah, I don't know if we have the standings graphic available, but we'll round them off just so people know before we end out the broadcast. Team Insidious with 156 points in first. The Brawlers with 150 points in second. HYDRA with 140 points in third. ZFX Evolution make it up to 133. 8-Bit in 132. Team India with 132, tying up that there. And then in 131 is ISO. So that's like your top 8 there. I think Learn from Past are in 8th with 127. That's your top 8 there.
But that's the thing. It's so tight at the top. It's within, as you were saying, it's 156 over towards it. Okay, we do have the standings here. So you can see it's so tight with it, even in the top 8, it's within 30 points. That's just a single chicken dinner, right?
Yeah.
That can turn in a single map. So with 8 matches played, that discrepancy is really actually quite small. So we'll have to wait and see what they're able to get done there. Of course, Learn from Past really relying on their placement points there. You can see they're a lot less kills than the rest of them. ZFX Evolution in a similar position to that, but the rest of them posting almost around 40 to 50 kills.
And what we saw from Team India in the group stages were their high kill fraggers, but not as consistent with their placements, and that's certainly true here. But with another week of semi-finals performances to come through, like you mentioned, these standings could really flip. The teams that are safe from elimination currently, Team SKUL creeping into 16th position, just about surviving the first week of the semi-finals. But there's, and coming soon, they made it out as well. So some surprises with Indian Tigers and coming soon. So far down the standings, the teams that topped the leaderboards in the group stage as we expected it. But let's get over to the next screen, because these are the teams that are at risk. Evil, Big Fella, SWAT, Maximus Alpha, Pain eSports, DAKU, PixL Spades, and SKUL, and GODL all struggling in this tournament. Over 8 matches, GODL have only got 35 points, which is a shocker, averaging about 4.2 points per match is atrocious for them, and they're really going to go back to the drawing board and figure out that one, because they need to put up a big performance in week 2 if they want to avoid elimination.
And this is the thing, all the way up from even from SKUL, I think SKUL and PixL Spades are a little bit lower, but you look at everywhere from DAKU all the way up to Team Insidious right in first, those point jumps are very, very close, which means this is a very volatile
literally
situation.
20 points between DAKU and Team SKUL.
Exactly, and then of course the next jump you really have is over between Coming Soon and MegaStars. It's a 10-point jump there, and then you go up, and it's all just very, very low and very, very close.
Yeah, it's incredible stuff here in the semi-finals as we close out week 1, John, and it just means that the week 2 action for the semi-finals are going to be even more heated up here in the Indian region for the PUBG Mobile Club Open. Of course, all the fans at home are going to be raring to go, and if you want to find out more information of when that schedule is, head over to clubopen.pubgmobile.com, get that schedule up for match day 4 with match 13 coming next week on Friday. In Indian time, I believe that is at 7:30 p.m. as well. So 7:30 p.m., if you subscribe to the YouTube channel that you're currently here and ding that notification bell, then you'll get the live stream notification and be ready to find out which of your favorite teams in India will qualify for the regional finals.
Will SKUL be able to hold on and not get eliminated towards those regional finals? Will ZFX Evolution find another back-to-back chicken dinner? Will there be a redemption arc coming through from Coming Soon? Maximus Alpha struggling as well, but all will remain to be seen. All will remain to be seen next week if you come ahead and tune in then. But for now, I've been John Allen. With me has been Dowsey. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for watching at home. We've had an absolutely great week so far. We'll see you next time at the PUBG Mobile Club Open.
Vivo.
Zombie, Darkest Night. The newest mode in the zombie universe is here. This time, the rules are different. No more parachuting, as players will be placed at random locations on the map when the match begins, and there is no single winner. Players must work with their teammates to spend one long night in the match and stay alive until the sun comes up. Waves and waves of zombies will spawn during each of the 3 foggy periods at night, and supplies should only be scavenged when the fog fades. The main objective is not to defeat other players, though this doesn't mean they are harmless. Players may need to work with other teams when necessary, but should also watch their backs in case the Fragile Alliance goes south. This will be a unique experience for every player involved. This new mode also comes with a passive skill for every player. Understanding these skills will be the key to staying alive in this long night. Can you ride out the night?
Play PUBG Mobile for free.